The morning light angles through my bedroom blinds, hazy and pale. It's enough to stir an old ache in my leg before I'm fully awake, a dull throb that reminds me of the day I got shot in the line of duty. Some mornings I lie there and wonder if the pain is from the physical wound or from echoes of the past. Today, I decide not to dwell on it. I have a routine, and sticking to that routine keeps my mind organized. I shuffle out of bed, noticing Sophia is already downstairs. The soft hum of the coffee machine drifts up. When I reach the kitchen, I see her by the counter in a floral robe, scrolling through her phone, eyes bright with morning energy. She glances up, her brown hair framing her face in a way that still hits me square in the chest after nearly 30 years. "Morning, Greg," she says, offering me a tender little smile. "Coffee's hot." I manage a half-smile back. "Thanks, Soph. We've had decades to perfect these small rituals." She sets my favorite mug in front of me, plain white porcelain with a faint chip near the handle. I ease into a chair, letting the aroma wash over me. Sophia is in a good mood. It's not like she's never cheerful, but lately she's been lighter, almost as if she's walking on clouds. As I sip my coffee, I catch a fleeting glimpse of her phone buzzing again on the counter. She does that subtle tilt-away motion, the one people do when they'd prefer you not see what's on their screen. It's smooth, practiced. If I hadn't spent years in law enforcement, I might not think twice about it. "Busy day?" I ask casually, careful to keep my voice free of suspicion. She nods with a spark in her eye. "Things at the office have really picked up. There's a new executive they just hired. He's from out of state, and rumor has it he's changing a lot of procedures. Everyone's on their toes." Sophia sets her phone aside, stands up straighter, and busies herself rinsing off a plate. There's a heightened crispness in her movements. I decide not to push. I've seen enough during my time in the Marines and later as a detective to know that an unprovoked interrogation often causes more harm than good, especially when you have no concrete reason to interrogate in the first place. Still, a small knot forms in my gut as I watch her. Something is off. Small details. The new manicure that's fancier than her usual simple polish, the habit she's developed of checking her phone right after waking up. None of these by themselves mean anything. Yet together, they whisper a quiet alarm. After breakfast, we part ways. She has to run to work. My retirement routine typically includes a brisk walk in the neighborhood, though it's more like a careful limp these days, and a stop at the local diner for a second cup of coffee. The walk usually helps me shake off the stiffness in my leg. I wave goodbye as Sophia drives away in her sedan, windows rolled down, her phone already pressed to her ear. Once outside, the late spring sun warms my shoulders. Birds chatter in the trees that line our suburban street. I notice the Wilkinsons across the road loading groceries into their trunk. Mr. Wilkinson waves, and I wave back. I'm known around here, partly because I used to be a detective in this very town, and partly because my limp is a memorable characteristic. People often ask if I need help carrying things. Usually, I politely decline. At the diner, the waitress, Denise, greets me with a smile and a "Hey there, Greg." She sets down a menu, even though I always get the same thing. Plain black coffee, maybe a side of wheat toast if I'm hungry. I sink into the booth, letting the vinyl squeak beneath me. As I wait, my mind wanders back to Sophia's expression that morning. A hint of excitement. Definitely more phone notifications than usual. I wonder if I'm overthinking. But then again, cops retired or not are trained to observe. "Refill?" Denise asks, and I realize I've already half finished the cup. "Sure, thanks." I push the mug toward her, and she pours in fresh coffee. The clink of ceramic and the smell of roasted beans ground me. By noon, I'm home again. The house is still, no sign of Sophia. Of course, she won't be back until after 5 at least. As I boot up my computer, the old machine hums, taking its sweet time. My tasks for the day involve some research for a friend's private case. Mostly I'm scanning digital records, verifying backgrounds, that sort of desk detective work. It's not as thrilling as foot chases or covert operations, but it keeps my mind sharp. Between reading old court documents and scanning property records, I catch myself thinking of Sophia. Just normal married life, I tell myself. She's busier now, probably excited about her job. Let it go. But I can't fully convince myself. The phone is still an itch in the back of my mind. When I check the time, it's already well into the afternoon. My leg twinges from sitting too long, so I stand, stretch, and walk around the living room. Family photos line the walls, Sophia and I at our wedding, both of us wide-eyed and fearless. A snapshot with our daughter Isabel from a few years ago when she turned 21, smiling as if she believed happiness was our birthright. These pictures calm me. They remind me of the trust and love that built this home. But if something's changed on her end, how would I handle it? Eventually, the day slides into evening. Sophia returns, looking flushed. "Work was insane," she says, dropping her purse on the kitchen table. She moves to kiss me on the cheek and I respond, but my mind is busy cataloging details. The faint trace of unfamiliar cologne, or maybe it's just new perfume on her part. The slight hesitation as she meets my eyes. Maybe it's exhaustion. I remind myself there's no proof of anything else. While she changes clothes, I reheat dinner. Spaghetti and meatballs, simple, satisfying. We sit together at the dining table and she tells me about her day in broad strokes. New policies, some clients who needed extra hand-holding, the usual corporate hustle. But she doesn't mention the constant phone messages. I consider bringing it up, then decide not to. My gut says to wait and observe. Over the years, I've learned that unraveling mysteries requires patience. After dinner, we watch a bit of television. My mind keeps drifting, noticing the subtle shift in her posture when her phone vibrates. It's like she tenses for a fraction of a second. Once again, I resist the urge to pry. If something is going on, it'll find its way into the light, especially if I remain observant. Later, as I lie in bed, the darkness around me feels heavier than usual. My leg throbs in time with my heartbeat, a pulsating ache. A vivid memory swells the day that bullet shattered my femur. I remember the adrenaline rush, the immediate knowledge that life was never going to be the same. That's the strange thing about injuries. They can change you physically and mentally. Now I wonder if something else is about to change me, perhaps more permanently. I sense a faint undercurrent of dread, like I'm on the cusp of uncovering something that could tear my world apart. I push the thoughts aside, tell myself it's all in my head. I'm overreacting to a woman who's simply busy and excited about a new workplace dynamic. Yet I can't deny that my detective instincts are stirring, pulling me into a quiet readiness. My eyelids grow heavy, and just before sleep claims me, the phone on Sophia's nightstand vibrates once more. Even half asleep, I hear her soft intake of breath. That's the last thing I register before drifting into a restless slumber, a subtle tension in my wife's sigh. I wake to the pale, gray light of dawn creeping through the blinds. My legs stiff again, so I take a moment to rub the muscles, coaxing them awake. The whole house seems silent this morning, unusually so. A slight hint of coffee aroma wafts from downstairs, telling me Sophia is, as usual, up before me. When I enter the kitchen, she's seated at the table, a mug cradled in her palms. Her face glows with excitement. For a moment, my worry from the night before feels misplaced. She looks exactly like the Sophia who used to wave pom-poms at my boot camp graduation, cheerfully unstoppable. "Greg," she begins, "guess what?" I raise a brow, sipping from the mug she's prepared for me. "What's going on?" She sets her cup down, leaning forward. "I got a huge break at work. They've officially assigned me as the personal assistant to Russell Ashford. He's the new executive I mentioned, the one from out of state." A congratulatory grin spreads across my face, even as a quiet pang nips at my gut. Personal assistant to an executive? That's a big deal, often meaning a close working relationship and longer hours. "Well, that's fantastic," I offer, letting genuine pride color my voice. "You've worked hard for this." "Yeah, apparently he saw my organizational charts and meeting prep notes from last week and was impressed. He wants me on his team," she continues, eyes shining. "It comes with a raise, better benefits, I mean. It's everything we need right now." I reach across the table to squeeze her hand, ignoring the little voice in the back of my mind telling me to remain alert. "I'm proud of you. We could use a bit of a financial bump, especially with some of Isabel's grad school expenses." Sophia smiles, a flicker of relief crossing her features. "I know you've been worried about finances since you had to retire. This might take some pressure off us." It's a tender moment, one that I want to hold on to. But even as my chest warms, I can't deny noticing how quickly she flips her phone face down when a notification pops up. She stands abruptly, telling me she has to be in early to help Russell set up his new workstation. He's very particular about how he wants things, she says, rummaging through her purse. I watch her rush out the door, leaving me alone with my swirling thoughts. Part of me wants to wave away the suspicion. She's excited. She has a new position. This is normal. At the same time, I can't shake the memory of that subtle tilt of her phone, the way her excitement feels a little too electric. Over the years, I've learned that trouble often hides behind the ordinary. By late morning, I'm in my home office, actually the spare room we once considered turning into a nursery back when we thought we might have more kids. Piles of old case files occupy the corner. My detective instincts keep poking me about Sophia's new role, so I do what I used to do best: gather intel. I Google Langford Investments, scanning through their mission statement, reading about the corporate structure. The new executive, Russell Ashford, is apparently an Ivy League grad who made waves at a New York firm. There's a quick mention in a local business journal that he's known for innovative leadership and a hands-on approach with subordinates. The phrasing rubs me the wrong way, though it could be harmless corporate speak. My cell buzzes, snapping me back. It's a text from a buddy of mine, Leon Carter, a longtime friend from my days on the force. "Hey man, up for lunch? Let me know." I figure a break might do me good, so I text back, telling him to meet me at a small sandwich shop we both like. 30 minutes later, Leon and I settle into a corner booth. He's got that easy grin and the same confident posture I remember from stakeouts. After some small talk about baseball and the weather, he leans in, eyes flicking across my face. "So you look stressed, Greg," I shrug, swirling my iced tea. "Sophia got a big promotion at her firm. She's going to be assisting the new guy, Russell Ashford." Leon raises a brow. "Never heard of him, but if he's from out of state, might be one of those hotshot types." He takes a bite of his sandwich, chews thoughtfully. "You worried about that?" "I'm just noticing changes," I admit. "She's been more secretive lately. Then again, I could be reading too much into it." Leon nods slowly. "Yeah, or your spidey sense might be tingling for a reason. You want me to look into him?" His offer is genuine. We used to do background checks as a matter of course when we suspected something fishy. But I'm not ready to brand Sophia's big break as something sinister yet. "Let me handle it," I say, forcing a smile. She's my wife. I owe it to her to trust her unless I see something truly alarming. The rest of lunch is spent talking sports and retirement woes, but a quiet tension hums in the back of my mind. After we part ways, I return home, trying to immerse myself in a background check I'm doing for a private client. Yet all I can think about is how quickly Sophia's life changed the moment Russell arrived. Later that evening, Sophia burst through the door, beaming. "Greg, you won't believe how many projects Russell wants me to handle. It's all new territory, almost like being a junior executive." Her eyes gleam with excitement. "Oh, and the paycheck, Greg, it's a good bump." She rummages in her purse, eventually producing a crisp envelope. The corporate letter within outlines her new compensation package, complete with a generous bonus. My eyebrows climb a little. That's substantial. When did they finalize all this? "Today," she says, almost breathless. She hesitates, then continues, "There's a lot of stuff going on, and I want to stay on top of it. Might mean a few late nights here and there." The practical side of me sees the benefit. If this helps us financially and elevates Sophia's career, it should be a cause for celebration. So why does it leave a hollow feeling in my gut? I muster a grin, pulling her into a one-armed hug. "I'm happy for you, Soph," I say, kissing her temple. She relaxes into me for a moment, letting out a small sigh. But as we pull apart, the soft chime of her phone disrupts us again. She glances at it with a flicker of what looks like nervous excitement, then tucks it into her pocket. "I'm just going to freshen up," she says, and walks briskly toward the stairs. Her footsteps fade, and I'm left in the living room, envelope in hand, reading the black and white proof of her new world. Despite the swirl of emotions, I remind myself that nothing is concretely wrong. Still, the wife I know so well seems to be slipping into a life I can't quite see. I place the letter on the table, massaging my temples. My old detective mind wants to connect dots that might not exist yet. I think about what Leon said about possibly looking into Russell. For now, though, I'll wait and see, try to keep things normal. My gut remains uneasy, but I push the feeling down. After all, it's just a big new executive, a bigger paycheck, and a busy schedule on the surface. That's what she's always hoped for, right? A few days pass. Sophia seems increasingly swept up in her role as Russell's personal assistant. She's leaving earlier, returning later, texting constantly. I do my best to quell the paranoid voice in my head, reminding myself it's only natural when tackling new responsibilities. Still, it's hard to ignore the pang in my chest every time I see her phone light up with another message. Early Tuesday morning, just as I'm about to head for my usual walk, my cell phone rings, an unfamiliar number. I answer out of habit. Greg Aldridge speaking. There's a pause, and then a woman's hushed voice crackles through. Mr. Aldridge, you don't know me, but I work at Langford Investments. I can't tell you my name. She sounds anxious, breath trembling over the line. I've seen some things going on with Mr. Ashford, and... She hesitates. Look, I shouldn't be calling, but I know your wife, Sophia. She's, well, getting pulled into something. The hair on the back of my neck stands up. Who is this? I keep my voice low and calm, but inside, adrenaline flares. What do you mean she's getting pulled into something? The woman exhales shakily. Russell Ashford has a reputation. He's not just a regular boss, he expects more, especially from married assistants. Her voice falters. Just watch your wife's back, okay? You seem like a decent guy, I can't talk more. If they find out I've said anything, she cuts off, as if someone walked in on her. Then the line goes dead. I stand there holding the phone, the dial tone buzzing in my ear, my chest tightens, questions swirl. Is this a prank? A scorned coworker, or is it the truth? My training urges me to dissect every word, every nuance in that woman's tone. She sounded genuine, frightened. My mind replays her phrase. He expects more from married assistants. Sophia's new excitement, her changed schedule. Are we dealing with some standard corporate fling scenario, or a manipulative boss who crosses moral lines? I want to believe Sophia wouldn't willingly step into that. Yet I've seen plenty of good people get cornered, manipulated, or lured by corporate politics. I pocket my phone, heading out to walk. The morning air feels heavier than usual, even though the sky is clear. My leg aches with each step, but I push through, half limping around the block. I need to clear my mind, decide how best to handle this. Confronting Sophia directly, without any proof, might just drive her away if there's truly something to hide. Or if she's innocent, it could create a wedge of mistrust. Mid-walk, my mind flicks back to my old service days. I recall an interrogation technique. Let the suspect talk themselves into a corner. In personal life, calling my wife a suspect feels cold, but the principle stands. People reveal truths if you observe them quietly, wait for them to slip. Rushing in can spook them into secrecy. Another approach is to gather enough info so that a confrontation yields clarity, not just denial. Later that afternoon, I find myself in my home office, scanning through old city records for a separate PI job. But I can't shake that phone call. Typically, if someone wanted to anonymously tip me off, they'd send an email or letter. A direct call is riskier. It tells me the tipster is desperate or genuinely concerned, possibly a friend of Sophia's, or simply a coworker who's seen this Ashford pattern. I decide to call Leon. He picks up on the second ring. Hey, buddy, he greets. Everything all right? Not exactly. I keep my tone measured. I got a weird call this morning about Russell Ashford. Some woman at the firm claims he has a history of crossing lines with married employees. She's warning me to be careful about Sophia. Leon's quiet for a moment. Sounds like your gut feeling might have been on point, man. You want me to poke around, see if I can dig anything up on him? A beat passes. My pride wants me to handle it on my own. Then again, I know Leon has resources, especially with some contacts in the corporate security world. Yeah, I finally say. Discreetly, though. I don't want Sophia to catch wind of us investigating. You got it, Leon replies. We can start with a standard background check. Lawsuit history, financial records, that kind of stuff. Let me know if you want me to go deeper. We hang up, and I stare at the blank wall for a while, an uncomfortable swirl of emotions in my chest, anger, protectiveness, confusion. I love Sophia. We've built a life, a family. The idea that she could get pulled into or willingly join an inappropriate relationship with her boss is unbearable. Yet I recall how she's been acting. Phone on lock, answering late texts with a secret smile, new clothes I've never seen. Late in the evening, Sophia comes home. She's usually talkative, recounting stories of her day. But tonight she's quieter. She sets her purse down, offering me a weary smile. "Long day, Greg. I'm going to grab a quick shower before dinner." I nod, noticing a faint tension around her eyes. "Everything okay at work?" She pauses, fiddling with her earring. "Yeah, it's just Russell's demanding. I'm trying to keep up with all his requests." She manages a laugh that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "But hey, it's worth it, right? Big promotion, big responsibilities." She disappears upstairs, leaving me alone with the hush of the house. My phone vibrates. A text from Leon. "Looking into Russell. We'll update you soon." Just seeing that makes my stomach twist. I picture the unknown woman's trembling voice. He expects more from married assistants. My mind conjures scenarios both plausible and horrifying. Is it possible Sophia's unknowingly stepped into a predator's game, or is she flirting with danger by choice? I stand and pace the living room, gazing at the framed photos again. One shot shows me in my Marine uniform, Sophia beside me in a sundress, radiant with pride. How did we get from that moment to this uneasy hush? My heart wants to believe everything is fine, that it's all a misunderstanding. My detective side, though, urges me to be methodical, to gather facts before I let my feelings distort reality. Dinner is subdued. I attempt small talk, ask about the new tasks Russell assigned. Sophia gives short answers. She looks both tired and oddly on edge. After clearing the dishes, she heads upstairs, presumably to review some paperwork. I linger in the kitchen, fighting an urge to check her phone just to quell my gnawing doubts. But that would cross a line I'm not ready to breach without more reason. Finally, I retreat to my office, sitting down at the desk. The phone call replays in my mind. The woman's fear was palpable. "Watch your wife's back. That's the part that sticks." Maybe Sophia isn't the one to blame. Maybe she's the victim in a scenario orchestrated by a manipulative boss. The question is, how do I figure out the truth without destroying my marriage in the process? I rub my eyes, exhaustion settling in. Tomorrow I'll push a bit more. I'll see if Leon can dig up anything concrete. I'll pay closer attention to any contradictions in Sophia's explanations. For now, I let out a long breath, trying to steady my thoughts. But the hush of the house doesn't feel comforting anymore. It feels like the calm before a storm. And I have a sinking feeling that storm is barreling toward us at full speed. Wednesday dawns with a chill in the air, unusual for this time of year. I wake earlier than usual, the tension in my chest refusing to let me sleep. When I head downstairs, Sophia is already gone, no note, just a text on my phone saying, "Russell needed me in early. Sorry." I stare at her words, noticing there's not a single heart emoji or cheerful sign-off. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it stings all the same. After showering, I step outside for a brief walk. It's more to clear my head than anything else. My leg protests, but I push through, trying to gather mental clarity. The sky is overcast, the street quiet. By the time I loop back, I see the mail carrier dropping letters in our box. Bills, a magazine, and one official-looking envelope from Langford Investments addressed to Sophia. I wonder what new development it contains, but I set it on the entryway table, reminding myself it's none of my business unless she chooses to share. Inside, I brew coffee, letting the steam warm my face. My phone pings a text from Leon. "Nothing major in Russell's basic background, no criminal record. Found a few hush-hush NDAs, though, possibly from personal disputes, working on details. So Russell has no public arrests or lawsuits, but NDAs are suspicious. They often hide inconvenient truths, especially in corporate environments." I type back, "Keep me posted. Thanks." The day drags on, and I try to focus on a background check for a different client. It's tedious, and my attention keeps drifting to Sophia. Around noon, I decide to run errands. I pick up groceries, stop by the pharmacy. On my way out, I notice a sale on men's cologne. I recall how a new scent once made me feel confident. For a split second, I contemplate buying something to remind Sophia that I can still change things up. But it feels forced, so I walk away empty-handed. In the evening, Sophia comes home, hair slightly disheveled, wearing a blouse I haven't seen before. It's more stylish than her usual attire, sleek, with subtle details that emphasize her figure. "I'm starving," she says, dropping her purse. "Let's order takeout. Thai food, maybe?" "Sure," I reply, picking up my phone to place the order. The lines around her eyes suggest fatigue, but there's a spark there too, like she's mentally replaying some event from the day she's not telling me about. Once the food arrives, we settle at the dining table. She's quiet at first, poking at the noodles. "Sophia," I say gently, "I noticed you left really early. Everything okay?" She looks up, and for a moment I see guilt flicker across her eyes. Or maybe frustration. "I'm sorry. Russell sent me a last-minute email about an out-of-town client video call. I had to get in by 7 to set things up." I nod, trying to read between the lines. "Is that a normal request?" She shrugs. "He's demanding, but so far I can handle it. The pay's worth it." Then she quickly changes the subject, talking about an upcoming company event. "We're hosting a charity gala in a few weeks, and Russell's put me in charge of the arrangement. I'd like you to come if you can handle the crowds." I detect a hint of uncertainty in her voice. She knows large events can be tough on my leg, but I used to manage plenty of them as a detective. "Sure," I say, quietly relieved she's actually inviting me to something connected to Russell. "I'll do my best." When we finish eating, she heads upstairs. I gather the takeout containers, toss them, and wipe down the table. My eyes land on the official envelope from Langford Investments. I place it on her nightstand, but my mind churns with curiosity what's inside. As we settle down to watch TV, her phone goes off again. She picks it up, glances at the screen, then stands abruptly. "I'll be right back," she mumbles. Moments later, I hear her in the hallway, speaking softly. Words drift through, not fully distinct, but phrases like "I understand" and "yes, tomorrow works" slip out. The next day, she claims she's meeting a coworker for dinner to discuss the gala. I see a receipt half sticking out of her purse that reads, "Bella Luna Restaurant, a place we used to celebrate anniversaries, known for its romantic atmosphere." My heart twists. The memory of our last meal there hits me like a punch to the chest, candlelight reflecting in her eyes. Now it feels like a relic from a forgotten era. I decide it's time to confide in someone who won't just pat me on the back. So I call our daughter, Isabel, who's living an hour away, finishing her graduate studies. She picks up quickly, her voice bright. "Dad! This is a surprise, calling in the middle of the week." I try to keep my tone even. "Just wanted to hear your voice, kiddo. Been thinking about you. How's school?" She dives into a brief update on her coursework, how she's excited to be interning at a local nonprofit. There's genuine pride in her voice, and it's the first time I felt any warmth all day. Eventually, though, the conversation shifts when she asks about Mom. "How's Mom doing with the new job? She texted me something about a big promotion," Isabel says, sounding excited for her mother. "It's going well, apparently," I reply, swallowing the lump in my throat. "She's busy, that's for sure." Isabel notices my hesitation. "You sure everything's okay, Dad?" Her tone is gentler now, the way she speaks when she's worried about me. I clear my throat. "I don't know yet. We might be hitting a rough patch. You know your mother, she keeps things to herself sometimes." A soft sigh crosses the line. "Dad, you guys have been together almost 3 decades. If something's off, just talk to her. Don't let it fester." I manage a half laugh with no real humor in it. "You're right, Izzy. I'll try. I just didn't want to sound paranoid without good reason." We exchange love yous and hang up. The call leaves me feeling both reassured and uneasy. Isabel's right. After nearly 30 years, we should be able to talk about everything. But the elephant in the room remains Russell, the cryptic phone call, and Sophia's changed behavior. That night, when Sophia finally gets home, I look at her closely. She's got new shoes, expensive-looking heels that definitely aren't her usual style. She sets her purse down carefully, almost nervously. I can't help but ask, "Those new?" She glances down and forces a little laugh. "Oh yeah, Russell suggested I have something more professional for events." The casual mention of Russell dictating her wardrobe is enough to make my stomach churn, but I force a nod. "They look nice," I say quietly. We eat in near silence. She seems lost in her own thoughts, occasionally checking her phone. Around 9, she's up the stairs again, claiming exhaustion. In the back of my mind, the puzzle pieces are coming together. Late nights, a hush-hush phone call from a worried coworker, fancy clothes Russell personally recommended, and the restaurant receipt. I recall how quickly she's stashed away her wedding ring at times. Sometimes I see her wearing it. Other times it's absent, and she explains it away with, "Oh, I was putting on lotion." Finally, I grab my phone, open Leon's contact, and hover over the call button. My gut says the time for passive waiting is nearly done. Still, a battered sense of loyalty to my wife stays my hand. I realize I need to gather evidence with care, not let anger push me into confrontation. I take a deep breath, deciding, tomorrow I'll talk to Leon in person. I'll ask about hidden camera placements, audio recorders, stuff we used back in the day. Part of me hates the idea. It feels invasive to spy on my own wife. But the alternative is to remain in the dark while something potentially catastrophic unfolds. My detective instincts roar to life, reminding me that sometimes knowledge is the only way to break free from suspicion. And so, as I turn off the lights, I do it with the grim understanding that I'm about to step onto a path I never thought I'd walk in my own marriage. The night after my uneasy realization, I lie awake, focusing on the ceiling fan's lazy rotations. It's nearly midnight, and Sophia's dozed off beside me, still fully dressed from another late evening. Her phone sits on the nightstand, face down as usual. Every so often it vibrates with a muted buzz. I swallow down the urge to check it, reminding myself that impulse-driven moves can backfire. In the morning, Sophia heads out before I can ask about her day. She just leaves a short note. Russell wants me an early important meeting. I'll try to be home for dinner. That note is basically a signpost of how things have changed around here. I used to be the first one to leave the house back when I was still in law enforcement. Now, she's the one rushing, and I'm the one quietly drifting behind. By 9, I'm in my truck, driving to Leon Carter's small office on the west side of town. We agreed to meet for coffee at a nearby cafe before heading up to his place. The cafe itself is a humble spot with checkered linoleum floors and a few tables scattered near the windows. Leon's already there, scanning the front page of the local paper. "Hey, buddy," he greets me, setting the paper aside. "You look tired." I manage a wry smirk. Been a rough stretch. Sophia's schedule is crazy, and, well, I trail off, not wanting to rehash all the subtleties of my suspicions. Leon picks up on it and nods. Once we each have a steaming mug of black coffee, we head over to Leon's office down the block. The blinds are half drawn, letting in just enough light to see dust motes floating in the air. I notice a new desk in the corner, and behind it sits someone I don't recognize, a young woman with cropped dark hair. "That's Maria," Leon explains quietly. "She's our new administrative aide. Don't worry, she's discreet." Maria glances up and smiles politely, then goes back to typing. We slip into Leon's private office, a small space crammed with filing cabinets. It smells like old paper and stale aftershave, a scent I somehow find oddly comforting. It reminds me of the nights we spent tailing suspects back in our police days. Leon gestures for me to sit on a worn leather chair. Then he pulls open a drawer in a tall metal cabinet, revealing a variety of specialized devices. "We talked about collecting evidence," he says in a measured tone, "and you know how that can go. If you don't want to confront Sophia directly yet, these might help you confirm the truth." He shows me a tiny audio recorder, barely the size of a car key fob. Voice activated. You can tuck it somewhere discreet. The battery can last up to 10 hours. Another item is a miniature camera disguised as a pen. "This one's trickier," he notes, "because you'll need a vantage point. But if you place it carefully, it can stream footage to a private server." A knot forms in my stomach. I remember reading about couples who spied on each other with similar gadgets, the lengths people would go to confirm betrayal. I never pictured myself in that position. "I appreciate your help," I murmur, scanning the small devices. This is my wife, you know." It feels wrong. "I get it," Leon replies, shutting the drawer softly. "But there's a reason you came here, Greg. Something's telling you the story you're getting from Sophia isn't the whole truth." I exhale, running a hand over my face. My mind drifts to the whispered phone call from that unknown co-worker, the hush-hush brand of warnings about Russell. If something manipulative is happening, I won't let my wife be a victim or a willing participant without at least knowing the facts. All right, I say. Let's do it. Leon offers me a reassuring look and retrieves a small black case. Inside it, he arranges two devices, a pen-like camera and a palm-sized audio recorder. The best approach, he says, might be to start with audio. If you slip this recorder into Sophia's handbag, you'll capture anything she discusses when she's near it. And if she's constantly checking her phone or taking calls, it should pick that up too. For a split second, I imagine the heartbreak of hearing her speak intimately to Russell Ashford. My chest constricts at the thought, yet not knowing has become a slow poison in my daily life. Got it, I whisper. Leon reaches out and places a hand on my shoulder. Greg, be prepared, he says, voice tinged with empathy. What you find might confirm your worst fears, or maybe you'll learn she's just under intense pressure at work. Either way, this is the path you've chosen. You used to be an investigator, so treat it like a case. Don't let your anger take the wheel. I swallow hard. I'll keep it professional, I assure him, though deep down my emotions swirl in a messy chaos. 15 minutes later, we step back into the main office. Maria glances up from her computer. Leon gives her a small nod. If any leads come through for that insurance fraud case, send it to voicemail. I'll handle it later. Maria nods, and we leave. Standing beside my truck, Leon quietly says, "Call me once you've planted the device. We'll retrieve it in a few days and listen to what we get." Got it, I reply, tucking the black case under my jacket. Thanks again, Leon, I owe you. He waves that off. We're friends. This is what we do. I climb into my truck and drive off, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. On the one hand, a certain grim determination settles in my gut. On the other hand, guilt gnaws at me. Shouldn't a husband be able to ask his wife directly if something's wrong? But something tells me that if I did, I might only push her deeper into secrecy, especially if Russell or the company is involved in shady business. By the time I'm home, Sophia's car is absent. It's quiet, just me, leftover coffee in the pot and the persistent ache in my leg. I sit at the dining table, mentally rehearsing how I'll plant the device without Sophia noticing. Maybe in an inside pocket of her handbag, or in that zippered pouch where she keeps random lipsticks. She's not the type to rummage around deeply if she's in a hurry. The plan is clear, but my heart feels leaden. Later that evening, Sophia texts to say she's stuck at a late client dinner with Russell and some associates. She apologizes for missing dinner at home. I type out a quick, "No worries, be safe." Then I place my phone face down, ironically mirroring her habit. The house is so silent that I catch my own breathing. I glance at the black case. Soon, we'll set these devices in motion. And with that, I'm stepping into the one place I never wanted to go, investigating my own marriage. It's a Sunday morning when I finally find the right moment to slip the recorder into Sophia's handbag. I do it after we have breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, and uneasy conversation about how her upcoming week is jam-packed with Russell's new directives. As she steps into the shower, I carefully unzip her purse. My hands tremble just a little, but I go through with it, tucking the small audio device inside the lining, right next to a spare lipstick. Then I zip it up. My heart pounds so loud I think she might hear it through the bathroom door. But the shower runs, steady and oblivious, so I exhale and retreat to the living room. The process takes all of 2 minutes, yet it feels like I just orchestrated a heist. Over the next couple days, I carry on as normally as possible. Sophia's at work from early until late, often coming home only to mumble a few words, shower, and collapse into bed. I can't always guess if the recorder's picking up anything. Maybe she leaves her handbag in her office or keeps it near her. Every so often, I'll see her rummage for gum or her phone, and my gut clenches, worried she'll find the device. But each time, nothing happens. Finally, Wednesday night, Leon calls. "You free tomorrow around noon?" he asks. "Yeah," I say, voice subdued. "Why?" "We should retrieve the recorder and see what we've got," he replies. "We can't leave it too long or risk losing battery or worse, her finding it." We agree on a plan. Thursday morning, I feign a headache and tell Sophia I need to lie down. She fusses over me briefly, then says she can't be late for a meeting. Once she leaves for work, I know the chance to snatch the device might come later if she forgets her purse or steps away from her desk. But that's complicated. So Leon and I opt for a simpler approach. I'll wait until the evening, create a distraction, and quietly remove the recorder. The day drags. Around 6 p.m., Sophia texts that she's heading home soon. Perfect timing. I rush to straighten up the living room, partly out of nerves, partly to have an excuse to rummage around. When she arrives, her eyes look weary, but she tries to smile. Long day. I need to crash. No problem, I say gently. I have an online meeting in a bit, so take your time. Your purse is on the chair in the hall. She nods, sets it down, and heads straight for the shower. The second I hear water running, I slip into the hall, open her purse, and retrieve the tiny device. My heart's pounding again, but I manage to keep steady hands. Stuffing it into my jeans pocket, I close the purse. That's it, mission accomplished. A half hour later, Sophia's upstairs. I text Leon. Got it. Meet you tomorrow at your office? He replies instantly, yes, 10 a.m. good job. That night, I lie awake, the recorder hidden in my sock drawer. My mind buzzes with curiosity and dread in equal measure. What if I hear the worst possible thing? Or what if I only find partial hints that spin me into more paranoia? Either way, tomorrow will bring some measure of truth. Morning comes and Sophia leaves with a quick kiss on my cheek, an echo of simpler times. I watch her drive away, ignoring the wave of sadness that threatens to swallow me. At 10 sharp, I pull into Leon's office parking lot. We head inside to a back room, where Leon's set up a laptop and a small speaker. Ready? He asks, inserting the device's memory card into a reader. I nod, crossing my arms over my chest to brace myself. He hits play. The first few minutes are just generic background noise footsteps, a rustle of papers, maybe the hum of an air conditioner. Then comes Sophia's voice, a bit muffled but clear enough. Yes, I'll get that done, Russell. I promise. My stomach tightens. A male voice responds, low and smooth. This must be Russell, I think. He's talking about client proposals and how he wants Sophia to handle certain tasks. It sounds like typical business chatter until he says, I prefer to keep our arrangement discreet. You understand, right? Sophia hesitates. Then she answers softly, Yes, I understand. My pulse spikes. Leon shoots me a concerned glance, but we keep listening. Russell continues, Don't worry about your husband. Focus on making sure everything here is perfect. He doesn't need to know the details of our work style. I grit my teeth. That insinuation is enough to set me on edge. But it doesn't stop there. Over the next several recordings, I hear references to late nights, private dinners, and suggestions that she dress more professionally. Russell's voice drips with patronizing instructions that hint at something beyond standard corporate demands. A few times I catch Sophia letting out tense little laughs. She never directly states she's crossing a line, but the subtext is there. Then at one point, her voice wavers. Russell, I don't know how comfortable I am with... She's cut off by him, and the device only picks up partial words. It's enough to sense her hesitation, but she never fully resists. The conversation ends abruptly, as if they walked out of range, but the implication is painfully clear. Sophia and Russell have some private arrangement that goes well beyond normal assistant duties. I lean back in the chair, feeling my chest tighten. Leon stops the playback. Silence hangs for a long moment. Greg, he finally says, this is bad. I'm sorry. I can't speak for a second, my throat clogged with a mix of rage and heartbreak. My mind replays Sophia's voice, the uncertain edge in her tone, and the oily confidence in Russell's. I was afraid of finding a smoking gun, but hearing it is so much worse than I imagined. It's a betrayal, yes, but also a power dynamic that might be twisting her deeper than she knows. Blinking hard, I clear my throat. Let's keep listening, I manage, steeling myself. If there's more, I need to hear it. We fast forward, gleaning bits from other days. It's basically a pattern of subtle manipulations, Russell praising Sophia for being special, telling her she should never mention this to anyone else. Occasionally, I sense she's anxious, but she never outright refuses. Whether it's because she's enthralled, intimidated, or something else, I can't say. The impact is the same on me. Devastation. When the recordings end, Leon expels a breath. So this is evidence of wrongdoing. Not outright proof of a full affair, but it's definitely emotional manipulation. Possibly worse. I bury my head in my hands. For a moment, words fail me. I feel my old Marine discipline urging me to keep calm, but it's like trying to hold back a tidal wave of anger. I'm not sure what to do next, I admit, voice cracking. Part of me wants to drive to that office and drag Russell out by the collar. Another part of me can't believe Sophia let it get this far. Leon gently closes the laptop. We'll figure it out, but first you need time to process this. Then we can discuss what comes next. I nod, swallowing the bitterness that threatens to spill. Thanks, Leon. My tone is hollow, but I mean it. I gather the device, carefully tucking it away. The ride home feels like a blur, each traffic light an annoying pause in a day I wish I could skip. The worst part is imagining tonight, when Sophia walks in as if everything's normal. Because now I know the truth that lurks behind her tired eyes. The audio recordings leave me reeling. I spend the next few days in a fog, alternating between anger and an unsettling numbness. Sophia's actions, her part in Russell's manipulative arrangement play on loop in my head. When I see her at home, my responses are clipped, and she notices. "Greg, are you okay?" she asks one night, eyebrows pinched in worry. I force a thin smile. Just tired. Leg's been acting up. It's not entirely a lie. My old wound does ache more than usual when I'm stressed. She doesn't press further, which only deepens my suspicion that she's grateful not to be questioned. A week after retrieving the audio, Leon calls. "I've got an idea," he says. "You've got proof something fishy is happening, but audio alone might not cut it if you want to show it to a lawyer or use it in some negotiation. We might need video evidence or at least visual confirmation of their interactions." My stomach knots. Part of me balks at stepping even deeper into covert ops against my own wife. But I recall the phone call from the coworker, the subtle mention of affairs with married assistants, and realize the slope might be steeper than I thought. If I don't gather more evidence, I'll be stuck with incomplete audio that could be spun as misunderstandings. So I agree to meet Leon again. This time, we rendezvous at a dimly lit diner off the highway, a place less likely to host neighbors or mutual acquaintances. As soon as I slide into the booth, Leon pulls out a small manila envelope. Inside are instructions for placing a discreet camera, he says quietly. He explains that it's not about filming inside our home. There are too many variables with Sophia. Instead, we'll aim a camera at Langford Investments from a vantage point across the street. If Russell and Sophia leave the building together, or if she removes her wedding ring the moment she steps inside, we might capture telling footage. It's a risky move, but Leon has a contact who can rent us a modest office space across from the main entrance of Langford Investments for a short time. 2 days later, we finalize the setup. Leon's contact, an older man named Walter who manages property rentals, shows us a cramped office with a direct line of sight to the building's glass doors. The place is dusty, with scuffed floors and a single window large enough to accommodate our small camera. We set it up behind a stack of empty boxes to remain inconspicuous from the outside. For a moment, the scene feels surreal, like I'm on a stakeout for a suspect. Only this time, the target is my own wife. Leon notices my tension and clasps my shoulder. "Keep it together, Greg. Focus on the facts. That's how we used to do it, right?" "Right," I mutter, half to myself, recalling our old days. Then we power on the camera and leave it to record. Leon has rigged it so we can monitor footage remotely via a secure server. I hope we won't see anything too damning. Later in the week, Leon sends me a link to the remote feed. I watch glimpses throughout the day, either live or after it's saved. At first, it's just employees coming and going, briefcases in hand, chattering about who knows what. Then, on Tuesday afternoon, I see Sophia approaching the entrance with Russell. She's laughing at something he says, and as they pass through the glass doors, she subtly removes her wedding ring and slips it into her pocket. My jaw tightens so hard it aches. I replay that clip a half-dozen times, each time feeling a fresh wave of betrayal. She used to treasure that ring, an understated gold band we picked out together after my first paycheck from the police force. Seeing her hide it so smoothly, as if it's second nature, is a gut punch. There's no legitimate reason for a married woman to remove her wedding band before stepping into an office, unless she's trying to appear available or is under instructions from someone who wants to keep up appearances. Over the next 2 days, more footage accumulates. Sometimes Sophia's alone, sometimes she's right alongside Russell, wearing sleek outfits I've never seen in our closet. At one point, Leon and I watch as Russell places a proprietary badge around her neck and pats her shoulder in a too familiar way. She smiles up at him, ring conspicuously absent. If I had any remaining hope of misinterpretation, it's dwindling fast. One Friday evening, I watched them exit the building just after 8. They linger on the sidewalk, standing close. It's not overtly romantic, but there's an intimacy in the way Russell leans in. I can't hear them, but I see Sophia tilt her face up, lips parted with what could be a quiet laugh. Then they stroll off together, presumably toward a parked car. The camera can't track them once they vanish around the corner, but the damage is done. My heart hammers, and a heavy wave of nausea washes over me. Leon stops the recording. "Greg," he says gently, "this is the real deal. I'm sorry." I press my palm against my forehead, shutting my eyes. Everything I suspected is confirmed. The wedding ring scene, the after-hours hush, the chemistry in their body language, this is betrayal, plain as day. The heartbreak that's been simmering now takes on a fierce edge, rage. I breathe through it, unwilling to let it consume me. If I lose my cool now, all I'll do is cause a blow-up that helps no one but Russell. "That's enough for today," I whisper hoarsely. "Save all the footage. We'll keep collecting for a bit longer." Leon nods, closing the laptop. "I will. Let me know if you want to talk." I give a curt nod, standing. My leg throbs, a physical echo of the pain in my chest. We pack up and leave Walter's dusty office, stepping out into the twilight. Crickets chirp in the empty parking lot. The hush of the warm evening feels oppressive, like the universe is holding its breath, waiting for me to snap. But I won't, at least not yet. Driving home alone, I think about how it started. The phone calls, the text messages, the note from that fearful coworker. Russell is a predator, or maybe it's mutual. I'm not even sure who's luring whom anymore. All I know is the person I love has shut me out for this twisted dynamic. And apparently, she's grown skilled at hiding my ring whenever it suits her new narrative. By the time I walk through my front door, my limbs feel heavy. The house is dark. Sophia isn't home yet. I drop my keys on the counter, resisting the urge to fling them across the room. Instead, I catch my reflection in the hall mirror. A middle-aged man with bags under his eyes stares back. I'd like to blame the strain on my old injury, but I know better it's heartbreak, the raw kind that festers beneath your skin. I flick on a lamp and sit at the kitchen table. My phone pings with a text from Leon. "Let's talk tomorrow. Stay calm." I stare at it and wonder how many more nights I can manage calm. Each new piece of evidence is a scalding brand on my memory. And yet, ironically, it steals me. If Sophia wants to cast me aside for a slick corporate climber, that's her choice. But I won't be blindsided. I've got what I need to move forward. The day after I see Sophia remove her ring, I realize I can't keep this inside anymore. Not completely, at least. I need someone from my own family to talk to, someone who knows me beyond the detective persona or the battered ex-Marine. My mind goes straight to Isabel, our daughter. She's living about an hour away, finishing up her final year of graduate school. I dial her number in the early afternoon. She picks up on the second ring. "Dad, I was just thinking about calling you." Her voice has the usual brightness, but after exchanging a few pleasantries, I go quiet. "What's up?" she prompts, concern creeping in. I inhale slowly, pinching the bridge of my nose. "Izzy, your mom and I were hitting some serious problems. I'm not ready to lay it all out, but there are major issues." I want to tell her everything, but something stops me from pouring out the gritty details. She's still our child, even if she's in her 20s. Her voice drops to a softer register. "Dad, what do you mean? Are you two fighting?" I sigh. "Not exactly fighting. It's more like your mom's changed since she started that job as Russell Ashford's assistant. She's gone all the time, and there's stuff she won't talk about." "Is it an affair?" Isabel asks bluntly, surprising me. I hesitate, remembering how sharp Isabel can be. She's always been observant. "I'm not sure how far it's gone," I lie, not wanting to confirm what I actually know. "But there's reason to suspect something is off." A pause, Then her voice emerges with a slight tremble. Dad, I'm so sorry. That must be awful. Have you talked to her about it? I let out a humorless chuckle. It's not that simple, honey. I have ways of knowing more than she thinks. Let's just say I'm handling it. She's silent for a heartbeat. Okay. Well, you know you can always come talk to me, or I could come over. Let me help, Dad. Her support feels like a soothing balm on a raw wound. Maybe soon. Just be prepared. If things go south, you might hear about it, and I don't want you to feel caught in the middle. We stay on the line for a few more minutes, talking about her classes, her plans for the summer. She sounds worried, but also determined to help. We end the call with her reiterating that she loves us both, no matter what. I hang up feeling both grateful and hollow. Telling her even a fraction of the truth is painful, but it's better than letting her walk blind into a shattered family dynamic. That evening, after a quiet dinner I mostly push around on my plate, I decide to escalate my approach. The audio and video evidence is strong, but I suspect I'll need legal advice sooner or later. So I text Leon, I'm contacting a lawyer. Let's see if we can do this right. His response comes quick. Smart move. I have a name if you need it. Michael Coates, he's good with family law and civil suits. I'll forward you his info. True to his word, Leon sends me Coates' details within the hour. I do a brief online check. Michael Coates is a mid-40s attorney known for handling complicated divorces and even some lawsuits against corporations. Perfect. I dial his office number, expecting to leave a message. Instead, a brisk assistant answers, and within minutes, I've scheduled an appointment for the following week. Before bed, I find Sophia in the kitchen, picking at a half-eaten sandwich. You okay? She asks me, forcing a lightness in her tone. I nod mechanically. Yeah, just a lot on my mind. She hesitates, biting her lip. Work's crazy. Russell wants me to attend a conference in a couple of weeks, maybe overnight. Is that okay with you? That question rankles me, because she's rarely asked for my input on her travel. Even so, I plaster on a neutral face. If it's for your job, do what you need to. Thanks. She offers a weak smile. I know I haven't been around much, but this promotion is important, Greg. I murmur something non-committal, trying to hide the bitterness building inside me. Important enough to remove your ring, apparently. The words stay lodged in my throat. Instead, I quietly head upstairs, the weight of my concealed knowledge pressing down on me like a physical burden. Sometime around midnight, I stir from fitful sleep to find Sophia sitting at the edge of the bed, scrolling her phone. Soft light illuminates her face, and I notice her expression is conflicted, almost pained. For a second, I wonder if she's grappling with guilt, but when she senses me awake, she quickly sets the phone down, slipping under the covers without a word. Morning dawns with both of us going through the motions. While she preps to leave, I sip coffee in the living room, stealing glances at the woman I've loved for so long, yet no longer fully recognize. She waves goodbye, and I respond with a half-hearted wave. The door shuts, leaving me alone in a quiet house, heart pounding with the knowledge that I'm hurtling towards something irreversible. Later that day, I text Isabel once more, just to let her know I'm holding up. She replies immediately, Dad, you're strong. Don't forget that. It's a sweet sentiment, but I feel anything but strong right now. Every passing day reminds me just how powerless I am to stop Sophia's deception. The only power I have is in gathering the truth and preparing for the next step, whatever that might look like. By the time dusk rolls around, I sit on the back porch with a cup of coffee gone cold. The phone rests on the small table beside me. I could call or text Sophia just to ask about her day, but I don't. Instead, I stare at the dusky sky, my mind swirling with decisions. Tomorrow I'll meet with Michael Coates. After that, I'm not sure how things will unfold. All I know is the path forward is paved with heartbreak and possibly, if I can pull it off, retribution for the betrayal that's tearing me apart. The morning air feels unnaturally still as I park my truck in front of Michael Coates' modest law office. My heart thumps in my chest, a steady reminder that I'm about to cross a line I never dreamed I'd approach, planning the possible end of my marriage and the downfall of a corporate monster. A tiny bell chimes when I open the door. leading me into a cozy waiting area decorated with potted ferns and outdated magazines. It smells faintly of lemon cleaner. A receptionist middle-aged with kind eyes greets me. "You must be Mr. Aldridge. Mr. Coates is expecting you." I nod, forcing a polite smile. "Thanks." I follow her down a narrow hallway, passing offices lined with thick legal books. The quiet click of her shoes echoes in my ears until she halts in front of a door labeled Michael Coates, ESQ. She knocks once and ushers me inside. Michael Coates is in his mid-40s, with a neat beard and dark-rimmed glasses. He stands, extending a hand. "Greg Aldridge, pleased to meet you." His voice is calm, warm even. I like him immediately. There's a straightforwardness in his eyes that feels reassuring. We exchange pleasantries, and then he points to a leather chair opposite his large wooden desk. "Please, have a seat." I settle in, noticing he has photos of his family on a nearby shelf, a smiling woman who must be his wife, 2 kids in a park. He closes the office door, and that small act heightens my sense of gravity. "So," Michael begins, folding his hands on the desk, "Leon Carter told me a bit about your situation, but I'd rather hear it from you." I take a slow breath. "I've gathered solid evidence that my wife, Sophia, is involved in something akin to an affair with her boss, Russell Ashford, at Langford Investments. It may not be purely consensual, there's a manipulative corporate angle. Either way, it's breaking our marriage." My voice hitches slightly, but I keep going. "I want to explore my legal options, divorce for sure, but also potentially a suit against the company. I suspect they have a policy that encourages these inappropriate relationships." Michael listens intently, nodding as I speak. When I finish, he leans back, eyebrows drawn in thought. "Okay, let's start with the divorce aspect. We're in a no-fault divorce state, meaning official grounds of infidelity can be tricky, but the presence of an affair can still influence spousal support and property division, depending on details." I nod, a ball of tension tightening in my gut. Hearing the word divorce out loud sends a spike of pain through me. "Understood. I have audio recordings and some video evidence showing a questionable relationship." Michael's brow arches. "Evidence like that is helpful, but can also be a double-edged sword. Sometimes it pressures the other side into a more favorable settlement. Sometimes it enrages them. We'll handle it carefully." He flips open a yellow legal pad, scribbles a few notes. "Now, about a potential suit against Langford Investments or Russell personally. That's more complex. You mentioned possible wrongdoing by the company. If they have a long-standing practice of encouraging executives to cross the line with married subordinates, we might explore a tort claim, something like intentional infliction of emotional distress, but that route can be tough." "That's the angle I was considering," I admit, swallowing hard. They've created or allowed an environment that basically fosters marital affairs for corporate gain. Michael exhales, tapping his pen. "It's not unheard of to file such suits, especially if we can show the company has a pattern of these relationships. However, they'll likely fight back aggressively. We need rock-solid evidence, internal memos, testimony from other employees. The bar for success is high." My mind flickers to the tip-off call I got weeks ago, from that terrified co-worker. If only I knew her name. She might be a key witness, but I can't risk exposing her against her will. I do have some data on multiple NDAs Russell might have forced on older female employees. My friend Leon found references, though nothing directly tying them to extramarital affairs. Michael nods, jotting more notes. "That's good. We'll see if we can connect those dots. For now, I'd suggest a 2-pronged approach. Gather more definitive corporate evidence while we prepare your divorce filing. Then, if you decide to pull the trigger on a lawsuit, we'll be ready." His gaze meets mine. "This won't be simple or quick. Are you prepared for that?" I square my shoulders, ignoring the shakiness I feel inside. "I am. I need to protect myself and, ironically, Sophia despite her betrayal. Russell's manipulation shouldn't go unchallenged." Michael offers a faint, sympathetic smile. "Let's start with drafting a divorce petition under irreconcilable differences. Meanwhile, I'll research potential claims against Langford. If you want to keep the possibility of legal action as leverage, we can do that. Often these companies prefer quiet settlements to avoid bad press." He slides a few forms toward me. "We can fill out preliminary info now, or you can take them home." but I recommend we set everything in motion soon. I stare at the forms lines for finances, assets, reasons for seeking dissolution. My pen hovers over them, a swirl of memories flooding back. Our wedding day, the way her hand felt in mine. Steeling myself, I sign where indicated, ignoring the sting behind my eyes. This might be the first official step toward the end. There, Michael says gently when we finish. I'll file these, then keep you updated. In the meantime, gather anything that can show a pattern at Langford. Employee testimonies, documents, or even an internal policy manual if you can get it. I stand. We shake hands. Thank you, I manage. I'm not sure how I'll hold up emotionally, but I appreciate your help. He nods. I see it all the time. Betrayal rips people apart. Just remember, it's okay to lean on friends or family. The legal stuff is my job. Your job is to get through it in one piece. Those words linger as I exit the office. In the waiting room, the receptionist glances up with a gentle smile. I muster a nod and step out into the bright sunlight, forms tucked under my arm. My chest feels simultaneously lighter having a plan, and heavier knowing I've set the wheels in motion to legally separate from the woman I once thought I'd be with forever. Outside, I pause on the sidewalk, inhaling crisp air that does little to calm my thudding pulse. Even though this is only the beginning of a harrowing process, a kernel of determination sparks in me. A sense of purpose, maybe. I'm going to see this through. A couple of days pass after my meeting with Michael Coates. I keep my distance from Sophia in the house, responding politely when she talks about ordinary things, groceries, the car needing an oil change yet offering no real warmth. She seems uneasy, more so than usual, as though she senses I'm done pleading for her attention. Now I'm watching her with the trained eye I used to reserve for suspects, silent, controlled, waiting for her to slip. She notices. One morning over coffee, she shoots me a wary glance. You're quiet lately. Something on your mind? I stir my mug, letting the spoon clink softly. Just a lot going on upstairs, I say, tapping my temple. Sorry if I seem distant. Her lips press together and she nods, not pushing further. That alone tells me she has secrets she doesn't want me to probe. That afternoon, I call Leon from my truck, parked in an empty grocery lot. I've met with Michael, I say, filling him in briefly on the divorce papers and potential lawsuit. Now I need a bigger picture on Langford. Maybe we can find internal memos or talk to employees. We need the entire scheme laid bare. Leon sighs on the other end. Pulling that off might require infiltration or a well-placed whistleblower. But let me reach out to some old contacts who do corporate digging. They might uncover something. After hanging up, I reflect on the next phase, cornering Russell alone. I recall from the recordings how controlling he is, how confident he acts around Sophia. If I can isolate him, show him I know everything, maybe I can rattle him. But it can't be a random confrontation. It has to be strategic somewhere he can't spin me as an unhinged spouse. I want him to feel the weight of my evidence and fear potential legal or even criminal repercussions. An idea forms. If I could lure Russell to a private location on the pretext of a business meeting or a potential hush settlement, he might come without informing the company. But first, I need more dirt. That evening, I notice Sophia has left a small binder on the kitchen table, presumably containing conference schedules or client rosters from Langford. While she showers, I flip through it, scanning for any sign of official company policies about extracurricular expectations. Nothing explicit, just generic guidelines about executive privilege. Still, it's a glimpse into the culture. The language is full of disclaimers about managerial comfort and personal rapport. I snap photos of the relevant pages on my phone, my heart hammering at the thought of her catching me. Over the next few days, I also ramp up subtle interactions with Sophia to gauge her guilt. I ask casual questions about her day, less about tasks, more about who she's meeting, if she's seeing Russell after hours. She often flinches or finds a quick reason to exit the conversation. Once, I lay a hand on her shoulder gently and mention I'd love to get dinner together. She forces a half smile. I'm not sure when I can, Greg. Russell's got me working nights on this big client pitch. Her eyes avoid mine as she speaks. The ring on her finger. Well, she only wears it at home now. I can't stop the bitterness building in my gut. The ring that used to be her proudest statement of our marriage has become a prop. Sensing my mounting anger, I channel it carefully. I need to keep my outward composure, remain polite enough that she doesn't suspect I'm about to strike. Michael Coates told me this tactic would be effective if I want to keep the upper hand in any legal confrontation, so I adopt a veneer of civility, even greet her cheerfully when she returns late. She looks more uncomfortable each time. Eventually, Leon updates me. We found an ex-employee from Langford who claims Russell has a pattern with married women. She won't go on record, but she might be willing to talk off the books. She mentioned hush money, and apparently the CEO, Oliver Langford, is aware but chooses to ignore it as long as Russell brings in revenue. My jaw tightens. So the CEO tolerates it. Seems that way, Leon confirms. That might strengthen your emotional distress angle if you go for a civil suit. Show it's a systemic problem. I think of Michael's advice about hitting them where it hurts financially. Companies hate scandals. Another piece of the puzzle clicks into place. If I can prove the CEO knowingly allows these affairs, I gain even more leverage. Over the next week, I craft small deceptions to further unbalance Sophia and Russell. For instance, I slip a vague note onto Sophia's passenger seat one morning, typed and untraceable. It reads, "We know." She never mentions it, but that evening she's restless and edgy, double-checking the locks. Another time, I text her from a throwaway phone. Hope Russell's worth it. Cruel, maybe, but I see it as turning the psychological screws. My only hesitation is that she might be more victim than I realize, but the heartbreak has hardened me. Right now, all I can see is betrayal. One night, I spot her pacing in the backyard on the phone. She's speaking too softly for me to catch every word, but I hear her mention, "I'm trying, Russell." No, I don't think he suspects anything, but he's definitely changed. Then she disappears inside. A fresh stab of pain hits me, but I swallow it down. If my cold politeness is giving her illusions of ignorance, that works to my advantage. Let her assume she's still fooling me. Late the same night, I sit at my computer drafting a letter. It's a short document that states, in official-sounding terms, how Russell must resign from Langford to avoid further exposure of his actions, referencing legal ramifications. I picture forcing him to sign it, effectively ending his career or at least removing him from Sophia's orbit. My fingers tremble on the keyboard, adrenaline spiking at the thought. He ruined my marriage. I want him out of her life, out of this town. Once the letter is done, I read it over, heart thudding. Each word pulses with my determination. This is bigger than just punishing him. It's about reclaiming my dignity. I stashed the letter in a locked file on my computer, planning to print it only at the moment it's needed. Sitting there in the dark, I catch a glimpse of my reflection in the monitor. My eyes look hardened, shadows beneath them from too many sleepless nights. I can't help wondering if I've become someone different, someone capable of orchestrating a cunning plan to corner a man. Then I think of the images I saw on the surveillance feed and the phone calls. My wife's wedding ring vanished whenever she was near Russell. The heartbreak surges back, fueling my resolve. Sometimes heartbreak births clarity, if nothing else. I close the laptop. Tomorrow I'll finalize how to lure Russell into a private confrontation. No more half measures. I've done the detective work. I've set the stage. Now it's time to lead him into the trap. I meet Leon for a late lunch at a small pizza joint on the outskirts of town. The place is dimly lit, with checkered tablecloths and a faint smell of garlic. We slide into a booth away from the handful of customers, lowering our voices to discuss the next step. Leon listens as I outline my plan. Russell thrives on secrecy. If I invite him to a private place, claiming I have info he needs like a hush money arrangement or a quiet settlement, he might come alone. He won't want the big bosses to know. Leon nods, tapping a finger on the table. And how do you ensure he believes you? I shrug. I can drop a few lines about certain documents that could sink him if they go public. It's not entirely a lie Michael has enough on him to do serious damage. I'll emphasize I'm no fool, that I know about the affairs. He'll want to keep me quiet. We pause to place an order: 2 slices of pepperoni, 2 of veggie. Once the server leaves, Leon leans in. We should arrange for some intimidation. Maybe not outright violence, but we can't risk him walking away or calling for backup. I can have a buddy stand by if needed. I consider that. The idea of physically threatening Russell feels extreme, but I've seen how manipulative men like him can bolt or twist the story to law enforcement if threatened alone. Okay, I agree carefully. One or two guys you trust waiting nearby. No overt weapons brandished unless absolutely necessary. Leon cracks a grim smile. Yeah, no guns drawn in broad daylight. We're not criminals, but sometimes you need a show of force to get scum like Russell to cooperate. Our pizza arrives, and we eat in thoughtful silence, cheese stretching with each bite. After a while, Leon speaks up again. Where do we hold this meeting? I toy with the rim of my water glass. We need a secluded spot somewhere neutral but not suspicious. Maybe an old bar after hours or a closed-down warehouse. A friend of mine manages a run-down tavern on the outskirts. Maybe we can ask if it's empty at certain hours. Leon nods. Make sure it has easy exits for us. Limited for him. That helps control the situation. We finalize the plan. I'll contact Russell with a disguised phone number, posing as some kind of information broker who has damning evidence. I'll mention specifics that only Russell would recognize, like references to hush NDAs. Then I'll set a time and place. He'll have to assume I'm being serious. If he doesn't show, I keep going public so he has every reason to come. That evening I'm at home, lying in bed, drafting the text. Sophia is downstairs, rummaging in the kitchen. My leg throbs in tune with my nerves. Once the text is complete, I reread it. Russell, I have key evidence about your personal affairs that could destroy you at Langford. Let's keep this quiet. Meet me tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Murphy's Tap. Closed portion. Come alone, or else everything goes public. I sign it with no name, just the letter G. Perhaps that alone might tip him off that it's me, Greg. Or maybe he'll think I'm some third party. I don't really care, I just need him to come. My heart hammers as I hit send. Done. Exhaustion weighs heavy, but my mind buzzes with possibilities. Will Russell respond with defiance, or show up ready to negotiate? Even if he suspects it's me, maybe curiosity or desperation will drive him to see if I'm bluffing. That's all I need. In the morning, I find Sophia already gone again. A note on the table. Client meeting, don't wait up. My chest constricts. Another day of her locked away with Russell, presumably. The anger that's become a constant companion simmers inside me. I head to the shuttered bar, Murphy's Tap, around noon to scope out the place. My old buddy Gary owns it, though it's rarely open on weekdays. He's a tall, lean man in his 60s, an ex-cop who retired before I did. The place still smells of spilled beer and old cigarettes, the wooden floor stained from decades of rowdy nights. Gary meets me near the dusty bar top. So you want to use my place for a private talk, huh? He raises an eyebrow. I nod. Just a discreet meeting. Won't be long or messy, I hope. He eyes me carefully. You sure about this, Greg? You seem wound up. I manage a half smile. I'm handling something personal, Gary. I appreciate your help. There's no intention of violence, but I want privacy. He shrugs. Your call. I'll be out back, won't interfere. Just give me a heads up if things turn sour. We finalize the details, then I check the back exits. They open onto a narrow alley. Perfect for Leon's muscle to wait if needed. The main room is dimly lit even at midday with a few tables scattered about. I pick a corner where I can see the entrance easily. On my drive back, my phone pings. A single text. Fine, 5:30. Don't toy with me. No signature. Russell's in. My stomach lurches, a blend of triumph and nerves. I call Leon, letting him know the time and place. He agrees to have a couple of his acquaintances, men he trusts from his PI work, stationed outside. We'll be close enough to step in if you need backup, he assures me. That night, Sophia returns looking drained. We share a minimal dinner of frozen pizza. I flick my gaze across at her once or twice, noticing the dark circles under her eyes. Guilt gnaws at me briefly. Am I pushing her into a corner, or is she reaping the consequence of her choices? Still, I can't falter. She's been systematically lying to me for months while ceding her loyalty to Russell. My mind flicks to the text he sent me. Don't toy with me. The man deserves a reckoning. Once dinner's over, Sophia wordlessly clears her plate and heads upstairs. I remain at the table, letting my knotted hands relax. Tomorrow, I remind myself. Tomorrow I put the final pieces in place. My heart thuds at the notion that everything might shift within 24 hours, maybe in my favor, maybe not. But I can't keep living in this purgatory. I end the night with a walk around the block. The suburban street is eerily quiet, porch lights dotting identical houses. My leg aches, but the pain keeps me grounded in reality. Focus, Greg. I recall the letter I drafted for Russell's resignation. It's waiting on my laptop, ready to print. If all goes as planned, I'll present it to him. This affair stops now, or he faces total ruin. By the time I return home, the lights are off. Sophia must be in bed. I tiptoe inside, sliding onto the couch instead of joining her. My mind's too keyed up to sleep next to the woman who has torn my heart out, piece by piece. Instead, I run through every scenario. Russell might come armed, or he might bring backup. He might laugh in my face, or he might fold like a house of cards. But the decision is made. Tomorrow, at Murphy's Tap, I'll see what kind of spine Russell truly has. The next day dawns with an oppressive gray sky, as though the weather itself anticipates trouble. I pass the morning in a daze, pacing my living room, checking my phone for any last-minute messages from Russell. None come. Sophia left early again, leaving me a text about some breakfast meeting. I barely read it. My entire focus is on 5:30 p.m. I retrieve the carefully worded resignation letter from my laptop and print 2 copies. Each is short, explicit in stating Russell's immediate departure from Langford to protect all parties from scandal. It includes a space for his electronic signature. I tuck them into a manila folder. Then I slide my old service pistol out of the safe. I'm not planning to shoot him, far from it. But I've witnessed enough desperate people to know better than to go in unarmed. It's a last resort, a backup plan in case he tries something foolish. I slip the gun into an ankle holster, my pulse drumming in my ears. In the mirror by the front door, I see a version of me I haven't glimpsed in years. Jaw tense, gaze like flint. I look like a man on a mission, a lawman about to face a dangerous suspect. My heart thrums with a mix of dread and adrenaline. At 4:30, I pull into the empty parking lot behind Murphy's Tap. The area is deserted aside from Leon's sedan parked discreetly next to a dumpster. He steps out, hands tucked in his jacket pockets, scanning the lot. He greets me with a grim nod. "You ready?" I swallow. "As I'll ever be." He walks me inside through the back entrance. 2 men I don't recognize stand near the kitchen doorway, burly, watchful. Must be Leon's acquaintances. They give me curt nods, then go about pretending to fix a shelf, but I can sense their readiness. Gary's nowhere to be seen, probably holed up out back to avoid trouble. The bar is even dimmer than before, lit only by a few overhead bulbs. Dust motes swirl in the pale overhead light. The faint smell of stale beer lingers, mixing with the tension in the air. My footsteps echo on the worn floor as I make my way to a table in the corner. I position myself so I can see the main entrance clearly. It's 5:15. Leon stands quietly off to the side, arms crossed. We don't speak much, just trade glances as the minutes creep by. My leg twinges with each swirl of anxiety. I shift my weight, trying to calm the pounding of my heart. "Stay focused, Greg," I tell myself. This is the final push before everything changes. At exactly 5:25, I hear a car door slam outside. Through a grimy window, I spot a sleek black sedan pulling up. A figure steps out, Russell, wearing a dark suit, posture stiff. My blood surges. Leon quietly moves back, giving me the space I need. I rest my hand near my ankle holster just in case. The door swings open. Russell steps in, scanning the gloomy bar. His expression is guarded, eyes narrowed. He clearly wasn't expecting a cozy chat in a well-lit space. He spots me, recognition flashing across his face. Slowly he approaches, footsteps echoing in the hush. My heart hammers as I stand. "Russell," I say, voice low. "Glad you could make it." He stops a few feet away, tension radiating off him. "You," he spits, eyes flicking to my face. "I suspected it was you behind that message. You have a lot of nerve, Aldridge." I catch the flicker of fear in his eyes, though he tries to hide it. Good. That means my plan is working. I can't resist a small, grim smile. "Sit down," I murmur, gesturing to the chair across from me. "We need to talk." He glances around, noticing the emptiness, the closed sign on the door, the dark corners. The sense of control he usually wields at his fancy office is nowhere to be found here. "This is ridiculous," he mutters, but he moves toward the chair anyway. That's when I sense the adrenaline crest. Part of me wants to lash out, to confront him right here about Sophia, about the heartbreak he's caused. But I remember Leon's advice: stay calm, show him the evidence, let him feel cornered. My fists clench and unclench at my sides. Russell sneers, trying to regain composure. "You dragged me to a dump like this? You're playing a dangerous game, old man." Old man. My blood boils, but I keep my voice level. "Maybe I am, but I have what I need to end your career recordings, videos, documents that prove not only your affair with Sophia, but your entire pattern at Langford. You resign today, quietly, or I make everything public." His posture stiffens, face draining of color. "You're bluffing," yet his voice wavers. I slowly pull the manila folder from my jacket and lay it on the table with a soft thud. Inside are documents. Sign them, or I blow up your life. I keep it succinct, letting the tension do the talking. Russell's breathing quickens, flicking his gaze to the folder. I note the sweat beading on his temple. The man who has stolen my wife's affection, who has turned her into a sneaky accomplice, is finally cornered. A certain satisfaction seeps through my heartbreak. Still, I sense this is the moment where things could explode or go my way. I must not slip now. I flick a glance at Leon, who stands near the bar, arms crossed, face impassive. His presence is my silent reassurance that if Russell tries anything rash, we have backup. My hand hovers near my pocket, remembering the pistol strapped to my ankle. Just as Russell's about to open his mouth, I hold up a finger, signaling him to wait. "You can talk in a second," I murmur. "First you read, then we discuss. But just so you know, if you refuse, you'll regret it. Understand?" He scowls, but picks up the folder with twitchy fingers. The hush that falls over the bar is thick as molasses, punctured only by his ragged breathing. The overhead light flickers once, washing the scene in a momentary gloom. Outside, I catch a muffled sound of footsteps, likely Leon's guys ensuring no one interrupts. My chest tightens. This is the turning point, the confrontation we've been building toward. Everything else, my heartbreak, the evidence, my old detective cunning has led to this single moment. I level my gaze at Russell, heart pounding so loudly I can almost hear it. He is the linchpin. If he stands down, maybe I can salvage a shred of control over my crumbling life. If he resists, well, a swirl of dread and anticipation coils in my gut. The clock on the wall reads 5:29, but it feels like an eternity is passing in each second. My entire world hinges on what he does next. I stand, unyielding, and wait ready to let him see just how far I'll go. A heavy silence weighs down the dim interior of Murphy's Tap. As the door clicks shut behind Russell, the echo mingles with the faint hum of an aging neon sign overhead. My heart thrums with a mixture of anger and grim satisfaction. After all the anxiety, he is here fidgeting and eyeing me warily. He tosses the manila folder back onto the table with more bravado than I expect. "So, you're blackmailing me now, Aldridge? That's the plan?" His voice wavers slightly, belying his attempt at confidence. I hold his gaze, letting the tension hang before replying. "It's not blackmail if everything in that folder is true. You know it is." I hear Leon shifting quietly at the edges of the bar, ready if things go south. Russell's nostrils flare. "You think your police background scares me? I have lawyers. I have connections." I step closer, ignoring the spike of pain in my leg. My voice remains level, just above a whisper. "Those lawyers won't save you from a scandal this big. I have recordings of you pressuring married subordinates and video showing you and my wife. You might survive a personal affair, but not a pattern of harassment, not to mention your NDAs with other employees." He stiffens, and a sheen of sweat glistens on his forehead under the dim light. "I don't know what you think you have, but it's not enough." His eyes flick over to Leon in the shadows, then back to me. "This is extortion." A faint chuckle escapes my lips. "Call it what you like, but I'm giving you a choice. Sign your resignation right here, right now, or face the fallout. I'll blow up your reputation at Langford, drag Oliver Langford himself into the spotlight, and your precious position gone." Russell's bravado cracks for a moment. His breathing quickens. But then he smirks an oily grin that churns my stomach. And what about Sophia? She's a big girl, you know. Think she's going to thank you for running me out of town? His mention of Sophia hits like a punch to the gut. I clench my jaw, forcing down a surge of jealousy and heartbreak. You've already torn my marriage apart. I'm not naive. I keep my tone cold. This is about you and your twisted power games. She's not your first victim, is she? Russell tries to retort, but I cut him off by flipping open the folder. The top page shows a typed statement I prepared summarizing the arrangements he has with assistants. Following it is an explicit resignation letter with all the right corporate addresses. You can see your name's already typed. Just sign, I say, pointing to the blank line. He scoffs, but I notice his hands trembling. If I resign, I lose everything. I stare him down. Better to lose your job than face a public scandal and possibly criminal charges if other women step forward. Harassment isn't taken lightly these days. Seconds tick by. He glances around, realizing we're in a deserted bar with no friendly faces on his side. Leon's guys wait outside, presumably near the alley. The tension in Russell's throat is visible as he gulps. Finally, with a shaky breath, he drags the folder toward him. He reads the letter, and I can practically see the wheels turning in his mind, calculating if there's any escape. But I keep my posture firm, arms folded, letting him realize he's cornered. A moment later, he grabs a pen from his suit pocket and scribbles his signature. The pen's tip trembles against the paper. Once done, he thrusts it toward me. There, he hisses. Now what? I lift the page, verifying his signature. Now you vanish from my life. You leave town. No attempts to contact Sophia or any other married woman in that office. Clear? He exhales sharply, raking a hand through his hair. The anger rolling off him is palpable, but he's out of options. Fine, he snarls, but don't think this is over. I have resources. I can fight back. Go ahead and try, I retort, sliding the signed document into my jacket. But if I even catch a whisper that you're crossing the line again, I release all the evidence. This time it'll be public. Understood? His jaw works as though he wants to spit out another threat, but ultimately he glances at Leon looming behind me, then slinks away. Whatever. You're a fool, Aldridge. Sophia never told you half of it. That last barb stings, but I hold my poker face. Get out, I say quietly. Russell throws one final glare, then spins on his heel and marches to the door. The bar's door groans as it opens and slams shut behind him. A hush descends, broken only by the hum of a flickering overhead lamp. I remain frozen for a moment, adrenaline still coursing through my veins. Leon steps forward, scanning me with concern. You all right? I let out a long breath, my chest tight. Yeah, I say, though I'm not entirely sure. My plan worked. I forced him out. But the victory tastes hollow. I realize it doesn't fix the betrayal. Leon places a hand on my shoulder. At least he's gone. The next step is dealing with the company. I nod, sliding the resignation letter into a larger envelope. It won't undo what he's done with Sophia, but he's not going to use her any further. We exit through the back door, stepping into the late afternoon light. My leg throbs, but the pain is almost reassuring. It grounds me, reminding me I'm still standing. I catch a glimpse of Russell's black sedan peeling out of the parking lot. A flicker of satisfaction mingles with sorrow. Leon glances at me. Let's prepare for the next fight, taking on Langford Investments. I nod. Let's do it. But in my chest, a shadowy ache reminds me that the real fight facing Sophia's betrayal is still looming. 2 days later, I find myself in a small conference room with stark white walls, accompanied by Michael Coates. The place is just off the main offices of Langford Investments, a sanitized corporate labyrinth I've never seen from the inside. Through the glass wall, we can glimpse employees in crisp suits hurrying along hallways, oblivious to the confrontation about to unfold. Michael gives me a firm nod as we wait. When Oliver Langford comes in, let me lead. I'll present the potential lawsuit and our demands. You back me up with the evidence if needed. Understood. I exhale, forcing my shoulders down from where they've crept near my ears. Got it. My voice cracks slightly. This is bigger than confronting Russell alone. Now we're threatening the entire top brass of Langford Investments. Seconds later, the door slides open. Oliver Langford enters, accompanied by two suited executives. Oliver is a tall man in his early 50s with neatly trimmed gray hair and an air of polished self-assurance. Yet I notice a flicker of unease in his eyes. Word must have reached him about Russell's abrupt resignation. He greets us with a cold smile. "Mr. Coates, Mr. Aldridge, I understand you requested an immediate meeting. Care to explain why you're on our property demanding an audience?" Michael stands, extending a hand briefly. Oliver shakes it out of courtesy. "Thank you for seeing us on short notice. Let's be direct. We have documented evidence that one of your former executives, Russell Ashford, engaged in repeated inappropriate relationships with married subordinates, at that." Oliver's expression barely flickers, though one of the other executives stiffens. "I see," Oliver murmurs. "And you believe this is grounds for?" "Civil litigation," Michael finishes smoothly. "Mr. Aldridge has recordings, messages, and testimonies that indicate Langford Investments fosters, or at least tolerates, a toxic environment where executives overstep personal boundaries. If we go public, the media and potential lawsuits from other victims could cost this company dearly." The second executive, a younger man with wire-rimmed glasses, frowns. "Are you suggesting we knew about Russell's conduct?" That's quite the accusation. I lean forward, resting my palms on the glossy table. Russell's pattern didn't spring up overnight. We have reason to believe your HR department and possibly Mr. Langford himself chose to ignore repeated red flags. My wife's situation is just one example. Mentioning Sophia stirs a dull ache in my chest, but I maintain composure. Oliver steeples his fingers, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. "We do not condone harassment or unethical behavior," he says flatly. "If Russell Ashford violated conduct policies, we have an internal process to handle that." Michael nods. "You can handle it internally, but Mr. Aldridge is prepared to file a public lawsuit for emotional distress and potential negligence. My client's marriage, among others, was effectively destroyed due to the environment Russell cultivated and your company allowed." Oliver's jaw tenses. The tension in the room spikes as the younger executive shifts uncomfortably. "Let's not jump to lawsuits," Oliver says, trying to remain diplomatic. "What exactly do you want from us?" Michael and I exchange a glance. This is the moment we've strategized for. Michael speaks first. "We want confirmation that Russell Ashford's resignation stands permanently no chance of rehire. We also want a formal policy overhaul that forbids these arrangements with subordinates." I clear my throat, adding, "and compensation for the emotional distress inflicted on me. This entire situation has overshadowed my life and marriage." Oliver's gaze sweeps between us, measuring the gravity of the request. "Compensation?" he echoes. "Figures?" Michael pulls out a thin folder. "We'll negotiate an appropriate settlement, but it won't be small. Also, we have one more requirement. We expect Miss Sophia Aldridge to be promoted into Russell's vacant position effective immediately." Oliver blinks in genuine surprise, while the younger executive looks outright baffled. "Promote her? The wife of the man threatening to sue us?" "That's unusual," Oliver remarks, brow furrowing. I straighten in my chair, meeting Oliver's gaze. "She's more than qualified. In fact, her performance overshadowed Russell's in several accounts. She basically ran his portfolio while he was busy with extracurricular pursuits. Think of it as righting a wrong, giving her a fair opportunity without fear of retribution." Inside, my heart twists at the irony. I still harbor fury toward Sophia for betraying me, but part of me wants to see her freed from the toxic grasp of men like Russell. Another part admits it's also a twisted form of punishment. She'll have to face the consequences of her own choices, working at the very place that nearly destroyed our marriage. Oliver frowns, exchanging a rapid whisper with the other executive. Then he inhales deeply and looks back at us. "This is highly irregular, but you're leaving us little choice. If the evidence is as damning as you claim, a public scandal would be disastrous." Michael remains impassive. "We can proceed to formal litigation if that's your preference. The tabloids and business journals would love a story about systemic exploitation." Oliver's face pales. He seems to sense the inevitability. "Fine," he mutters. "We'll settle. I'll arrange an immediate internal policy revision, finalize Ashford's permanent removal, and..." He glances at the younger executive. We'll evaluate the possibility of Miss Aldridge stepping into a higher role, effective swiftly. I note he avoids the word promotion, likely for internal politics. Still, it's a step in our direction. Michael nods, maintaining a calm veneer. We'll send over the official documents with the settlement amount included. I suggest we keep everything confidential. My client will sign a non-disclosure agreement as long as the agreed terms are met fully. Oliver's shoulders slump a fraction. We'll sign. But trust me, if Mr. Aldridge releases any of this publicly afterward, we won't hesitate to retaliate legally. I respond quietly. I'm not looking for publicity. I just want justice so it never happens again. Oliver exhales, standing. The meeting feels concluded, but the tension still weighs heavy. I'll have HR draft the new policy. We'll be in touch within 48 hours. We exchange terse nods. As we exit, I catch a glimpse of Langford employees milling about, none aware that the rug has been pulled out from under their management. Outside in the corridor, Michael places a hand on my shoulder. Well done, he says softly. We got what we came for. I'll handle the final settlement negotiations. My chest feels tight, relief and sorrow warring inside. I imagine how Sophia will react when she learns she's being promoted into Russell's old position, part reparation, part consequence of a scandal I triggered. And I can't ignore the pang of heartbreak. All of this is built on the ashes of our marriage. Still, as we ride the elevator down, I let a small exhale escape. One battle is over. The next, our anniversary, ironically looms on the horizon, reminding me that some confrontations are more personal and painful than any corporate settlement could ever be. A week slides by in a blur of paperwork, silent dinners, and awkward distance. Official news from Langford Investments arrives confirming Russell's permanent departure and the policy shift. I even hear that Sophia's new role is imminent, though ironically she hasn't told me. Perhaps management informed her before she decided how to bring it up. We barely speak, each trapped in our own tense bubble. Then comes the date on the calendar that used to mean everything, our wedding anniversary. For nearly 3 decades, we celebrated with a night out, sometimes at the same cozy Italian restaurant. This year, it's different. I text Sophia, meet me at Berardo's at 7 p.m. We need to talk. Don't be late. She answers with a single word, okay. At 6:45, I arrive at Berardo's. The place has warm lighting, softly playing music, white tablecloths set with flickering candles. I used to love this atmosphere, how it brought out the softness in Sophia's eyes. Now, each romantic detail feels like a mocking echo of a happier time. My stomach clenches as I wait, fidgeting with the corner of a menu. Sophia arrives at exactly 7, wearing a dark dress and an expression caught between dread and longing. She slides into the seat opposite me, letting her purse rest by her feet. For a moment, neither of us speaks, as though the weight of the last few months stands between us like a silent referee. "Greg," she finally whispers, voice subdued. "It's our anniversary. I didn't think you'd want to do anything tonight." I force a hollow laugh. "Yeah, well, we have more to discuss than just an anniversary." I signal the waiter for water, then turn back to her. "How's your new position? Heard you're stepping into Russell's shoes." She looks startled, then averts her gaze. "Yes. Oliver Langford told me. I didn't know you knew. It's a big promotion." My jaw tightens. "I know more than you think. I also know Russell is gone for good." Her eyes flick up to mine, a sheen of tears threatening. "Greg, what did you do?" I let the question hang. The waiter arrives with glasses of water and 2 menus. We wait for him to depart before I speak again, quietly. "I told you I'd protect what was mine, even if you gave up on it. Russell was exploiting you, and others. He's done now." She swallows hard. "Exploiting me, yes, but I also made terrible choices." Her voice shakes. "I didn't know how to fix it. The money, the job, the pressure. My heart pangs at the hint of remorse. For a second, I recall the bright-eyed woman I married, full of promise. Now across from me sits someone whose decisions betrayed our vows. I steel myself and slide a small envelope onto the table. She looks at it, dread filling her expression. "What's that?" "Your resignation from my life," I say softly. Inside the envelope are divorce papers, straightforward, no illusions. "It's time, Sophia." She inhales sharply, tears forming. Greg, I know I ruined us. But do you really have to end it? Maybe I can fix. I can't help a bitter twist of my mouth. Fix what? The ring you remove at work? The stolen glances with a younger boss? The secrets? The phone calls? My voice trembles, revealing the heartbreak beneath my anger. She bows her head. I never wanted to fall for Russell's manipulation, but I let him in. I'm so sorry. I wish I could take it back. The last flicker of pity flares in me. Still, I push the papers closer. I believe you're sorry, I say, and I do. But some things can't be undone. Sign them. We'll split what's fair. I'll keep quiet about everything if you want. Sophia bites her lip, tears sliding down her cheeks. Our daughter, Isabel, she'll hate me for this. I lower my gaze, remembering how supportive Isabel has been, how she urged me to talk. Isabel's hurt, but she loves you. You'll have to face her. That's between you two. She reaches out tentatively, brushing her fingertips against my hand. I stiffen, but don't pull away. Greg, she breathes, voice thick with sorrow. We had so many years of happiness. Doesn't that count for anything? Her touch ignites a rush of memories, our wedding photos, late-night laughter, the day Isabel was born. My heart squeezes painfully. It counted for everything, I whisper, tears burning behind my eyes. That's why it hurts so much. She closes her eyes, shoulders shaking in silent sobs. After a long moment, she opens the envelope, scanning the divorce papers. The candlelight flickers on her face, highlighting the devastation etched in her features. If this is what you want, I'll sign. I have to look away, swallowing a tightness in my throat. It's too broken to mend, I manage. Russell was just the final blow. Her pen scrawls across the signature line, her tears dripping onto the tablecloth. My breath catches in my chest. This is it. I realize the end of us. She sets the signed papers down, then buries her face in her hands. I let out a quivering breath, reaching for the envelope. I tuck it away, struggling to maintain composure. For a moment, we sit in the hushed atmosphere of Berardo's, the hum of other diners and soft violin music undercutting our private tragedy. The rest of the world continues unknowing. Happy anniversary, I say bitterly, voice trembling. Sophia wipes her cheeks, smearing mascara. I wish I could undo it all. I nod, pain slicing through me like a knife. I know, let's just go. I toss a few bills on the table for the drinks we didn't order and stand. She follows, subdued. Outside, the night air is chilly. She turns to me, tears still shining on her cheeks. Greg, I do love you, you know. A part of me always will. I want to believe that. Maybe I do. But the scars are too deep. Take care, Sophia, I say softly. Then I walk away, leaving her under the glow of a street lamp, hugging her arms as though cold. By the next morning, I've made up my mind. I'm packing my things and moving out. The divorce papers are filed, and our marriage is functionally over. There's no sense clinging to a home haunted by betrayal. I call Leon, who comes over with a pickup truck. We load it with boxes of clothes, a few sentimental knickknacks, and my old Marine keepsakes. I leave behind larger furniture for now, not wanting a prolonged presence in the house. Each pass through the room scrapes my heart anew, the family photos on the mantel, the magnet-littered fridge, the scuffed hardwood floor where we slow danced on our 10th anniversary. Sophia emerges from the bedroom with puffy eyes, hair unkempt. She stands in the hallway, voice cracking. You're really leaving now? I nod, throat tightening. I can't stay here anymore. She swallows. Where will you go? Short-term rental, maybe. I'll figure it out. I rub my temples, exhaustion pressing on my skull. She hovers, unsure, then takes a step closer. Greg, I know I've lost your trust, but Her voice quivers. Is there truly no chance of reconciliation? I'm out from under Russell now. I can change. My chest seizes. I search her face for a moment, guilt, regret, heartbreak. There was a time I'd have fought for even a sliver of that remorse. But now, the damage is done. I loved you, I whisper, blinking against the sting in my eyes. 30 years of us and you threw it away. I can't just forget. Maybe you can't either. She breaks into quiet sobs, hugging her arms around her torso. Leon shifts awkwardly behind me, tactfully keeping his distance. Let me help, I say after a moment, not unkindly. I'll keep supporting you financially until everything is settled. Your new job, it might give you a decent boost anyway. Sophia flinches as if slapped. Yes, she murmurs. The new position. A constant reminder of everything I did. My voice softens. Maybe that's the path you need, to understand the cost of crossing lines. I'm not punishing you, but I'm done letting you in. She barely nods, tears streaking her cheeks. I can't bring myself to hold her. Instead, I turn and head outside where Leon quietly closes the tailgate of the truck. You good? He asks, sympathy in his eyes. I swallow the lump in my throat. Let's go, is all I manage. We drive off in silence, leaving the house behind. My mind reels with 1,000 memories, happy moments, fights we resolved with laughter, times we leaned on each other during crises, all overshadowed now by betrayal. Halfway across town, Leon parks near a modest apartment complex I found online. It's a dull gray building, nothing fancy, but they rent units month to month. A property manager meets us at the sidewalk, handing me keys. After some quick paperwork, I find myself stepping into a cramped one-bedroom unit. The walls are off-white, the carpet a little threadbare. It's quiet, lonely, and definitely not home in any sense. But it'll do. Leon helps unload boxes, setting them haphazardly in the living room. Once we're done, we stand amid the chaos, catching our breath. My leg throbs, sweat trickling down my temple. Thank you, I tell Leon, meaning it. He pats my shoulder. Any time, Greg. You need a beer or something? I shake my head, voice thick. Not now, just need some space. He nods, understanding. All right, call me if you need anything, man. Then he heads out, leaving me alone with the echoing quiet of my new life. Exhausted, I sink onto a plain sofa the landlord provided. The emptiness closes in no photos on the walls, no sign of the life I once knew. I let out a shaky breath, recalling how just last night Sophia and I were face-to-face at Berardo's, tears and heartbreak on full display. Now we're separated by more than just distance. Around sunset, I open a box labeled Memories in my handwriting, rummaging through old letters and pictures. I pause on a snapshot of me and Sophia in our 20s smiling on a beach, arms wrapped around each other like there was no one else in the world. My throat tightens. We were so sure of our forever. I slip the photo back into the box, my vision blurred by tears I refuse to let fall. Betrayal has a way of rewriting the past, making every cherished memory feel like a lie. But somewhere deep, I know those moments were real. They just aren't anymore. Fatigue drapes over me. I decide to take a hot shower, hoping to soothe my aching leg and the tension locked in my muscles. Afterward, I slip into sweatpants, collapsing on the sofa with nothing but the hum of the old fridge for company. The solitude cuts like a knife, but I remind myself this step is necessary. A soft chime from my phone startles me. A text from Sophia. I'm sorry. I know it's too late, but I'm sorry. The words send fresh pain lancing through my chest. I don't reply. Instead, I stare at the screen until it times out, the message retreating to the background. This is the path we've both chosen now, whether we like it or not. Darkness gathers outside the window. I rest my head against the sofa cushion, letting the emptiness of the apartment match the hollow ache inside me. Sophia's pleas ring in my mind, but so does Russell's sneer. The images of her removing her wedding ring, the late-night calls, the corporate hush, they all swirl together, forming the tragic tapestry of our final chapter as husband and wife. Eventually, I drift off, lulled by exhaustion. Tomorrow I'll face the reality of living alone. There's a faint sense that maybe one day I'll rebuild myself. But for now, sorrow weighs heavy, reminding me that the line between love and heartbreak can vanish in an instant, leaving emptiness and memories as the only souvenirs. My new apartment feels more like a storage unit than a home. Cardboard boxes stacked against an off-white wall, a couch I found secondhand, and a chipped coffee table rescued from a thrift store. I can't decide if I prefer the clutter or the silence. Either way, it's mine now, my space, without any lingering shadow of Sophia's presence. I wake early most mornings, thanks to old habits. Dawn light filters through the cheap blinds, reminding me of a time when I'd listen for Sophia's soft footsteps downstairs. Those days are gone. Sometimes I still reach across the bed, expecting warmth, only to find cool sheets. The emptiness in my chest echoes the emptiness of this one-bedroom unit. Today, as I shuffle into the kitchen, the hardwood creaks underfoot. A half-eaten pizza box lingers on the counter, courtesy of dinner last night. I give it a faint grimace and toss it out, telling myself that starting the day fresh means leaving reminders of the past behind, even the small ones. My phone vibrates, jostling me from my thoughts. Isabel's name glows on the screen. She's been checking in more often, trying to make sure I'm not drowning in bitterness. Swiping to answer, I hear her bright, worried voice. "Dad, how are you holding up?" I rub the back of my neck, forcing a casual tone. "You know, day by day. Mornings are weird without, well, everything." She sighs softly. "I figured, if you need to talk, I'm here. I'm juggling classes and part-time work, but I can always listen." For a moment, I see her in my mind's eye. The little girl who used to tug on my pant leg, wanting me to play. Now she's an adult, giving me advice I never thought I'd need. "Thanks, Izzy," I say, voice low. "I appreciate it, really." We chat a bit about her latest project, some research initiative at the local nonprofit she interns for. It's good to hear her voice. When we hang up, a pang hits me. She hasn't asked about her mother, and I haven't volunteered anything. A messy silence looms there. But I can't fix everything, not yet. I decide to walk to the grocery store a few blocks away. My leg still aches from old wounds, but the movement helps clear my mind. Plus, the quiet suburban streets allow me to reflect about who I am without Sophia, without the house we shared. It's a complicated kind of reflection, one I can't rush. At the store, I toss some essentials into a cart. Bread, milk, a few frozen dinners. As I pass the produce aisle, I spot a neighbor from my new building, Mary, an older woman who introduced herself last week. She's picking out tomatoes, peering through her glasses. We make eye contact, and she waves with polite curiosity. "Greg, right?" she says. Her voice carries a soft rasp, likely from years of smoking. "Settling in okay?" I force a small smile. Trying to. Still feels like I'm living out of boxes. Mary nods sympathetically. "Well, if you need anything, a cup of sugar or a chat, you know where to find me. I'm 2B, just upstairs." "I appreciate that," I reply. For a second, I feel the warmth of neighborly kindness. It's a far cry from the house I left, where every neighbor recognized me and Sophia together. Here, nobody knows my baggage or my heartbreak. Maybe that's a blessing. I head home, groceries in hand, ignoring the dull throb in my leg. Once inside, I realize that for the first time in years, I control every aspect of my day. No checking in with Sophia, no worrying about who's cooking dinner. It's a strange liberty, like being unmoored from a dock, liberating, yet a bit unsettling. By early afternoon, the apartment is quiet again. I fire up my old laptop on the coffee table, intending to distract myself with a streaming service or some idle browsing. But an email notification pings, a note from Michael Coates. He's finalizing the settlement with Langford Investments, wants to confirm some financial details. A surge of relief washes over me. Though the heartbreak remains, the practical side of our confrontation is at least yielding results. I skim the email. Michael mentions the approximate sum they're offering. It's substantial, more than I expected. Enough to cushion me if I want to start fresh, maybe even do something meaningful with Leon. The last lines of the email read, "Let me know if you have questions. Hoping to close this soon." Closing my laptop, I exhale. Funny how money doesn't fix heartbreak, but it can provide a path forward. I stare at the half-unpacked boxes, feeling a stirring of ambition. Maybe I'm not done yet. Maybe there's life after all this. The day drags on with an odd mixture of chores and introspection, tidying the kitchen, rifling through old photos I nearly forgot I packed. I come across an album featuring me in my Marine uniform, hugging Sophia after a deployment. My throat tightens. The love in that photo was real, a truth that time and betrayal can't erase, but it hurts to see it now. By evening, the sky is painted with pastel clouds. I lounge on the couch, phone in hand, resisting the urge to text Sophia. I recall the night I left, her tearful face in the hallway. Guilt tries to creep in, but I push it aside. She made her choices, and so did I. A restless energy fills me. I find a small radio among my boxes and plug it in, letting a soft jazz station play. The gentle saxophone echoes off these bare walls, oddly soothing in the lonely space. As the notes drift around me, I acknowledge that this is my reality now. Divorced at 50-something, rebuilding from scratch. It's not the worst fate. I remind myself that many people have survived worse heartbreak and come out stronger. In a surge of resolve, I stand and grab a box labeled Desk Office Supplies. Inside are some notebooks, pens, and a battered file folder. I set them out on the kitchen table, deciding it's time to make a plan for me. Greg Aldridge, not as Sophia's husband or Russell's adversary, but as a man with a second chance to shape his life. It's a small step, but as I flip open the notebook and start brainstorming ideas, investigation business, consulting work with Leon, I feel the faint flicker of hope. The heartbreak remains, but so does the will to move forward. Maybe that is what life after divorce looks like. Broken pieces rearranged into something new, waiting to be discovered. A few days pass, each one slightly less suffocating than the last. While the pain of betrayal lingers, I'm learning to occupy my thoughts with purposeful tasks. One morning, a text from Leon appears. Lunch? My office? We can talk about next steps. I reply immediately, yes. Around noon, I park my truck outside Leon Carter's modest private investigator firm. The building is a low-key brick structure near the edge of town. I recall how many times we used to meet for coffee in the old police days, strategizing over surveillance or suspects. Now we're meeting under different circumstances, my own personal crisis. Leon greets me with a quick hug, ushering me into his cramped office lined with metal filing cabinets. It smells of stale coffee and printer ink. Maria, his new administrative aide, waves from a corner desk, offering a polite, "Hello, Mr. Aldridge." "Just Greg is fine," I murmur. She smiles, then returns to typing. Leon guides me to a pair of worn chairs near his desk. "I ordered sandwiches," he says, tapping a paper bag on the table. "Roast beef and turkey. Figured you might be sick of pizza." I chuckle, low and tired. "You guessed right." We unwrap our sandwiches, the rustle of paper the only sound for a moment. Finally, Leon speaks up. "How's the new place? Settling in?" I give a shrug. "It's quiet. Feels like I'm camping in my own life, you know? But it beats staying with Sophia after everything that happened." A flicker of empathy crosses his face. "I get it. That was a toxic environment for both of you. Sometimes a clean break is best." I nod, chewing a bite of sandwich. The roast beef is decent, though my stomach still twists whenever I dwell on the betrayal. Hoping to shift focus, I say, "So, about these next steps. I know we talked about going into business together. Are you still game?" Leon's eyes light up. "I am. My PI firm's been stable, but there's room to expand, especially with the settlement money you might get. We can invest in better surveillance tech, hire another investigator, maybe tackle bigger cases." My heart flutters with cautious excitement. I've been thinking the same. Michael Coates says the settlement is nearly final. Once it's official, I'll have the capital. I swallow, glancing at the cluttered desk. I miss the detective work, Leon. The old adrenaline, the satisfaction of nailing a scumbag. Even this fiasco with Russell reminded me how I'm good at gathering evidence. Leon sets his sandwich down. "Then let's do it. But we need to rebrand if we're forming a real partnership. Carter Investigations becomes something like Aldridge and Carter Security and Investigations. We can handle cheating spouses, corporate espionage, missing persons, whatever pays." A warmth kindles in my chest. The notion of forging a new professional identity separate from the heartbreak is oddly empowering. "Count me in," I say, relief evident in my tone. "We can make a solid plan once the funds come through." He nods, finishing his sandwich. Maria appears at the door, clearing her throat. "Sorry to interrupt," she says quietly, "but we have a potential client on the line, something about theft in the workplace." Leon looks at me, eyebrows raised. "Feel like giving me a hand right now?" he asks. For a split second, I'm hesitant. My leg twinges, a reminder of my injury, but a spark of determination overrides the doubt. "Sure," I say, standing. "Let's see what they've got." We move into the small conference room where Leon puts the call on speaker. The woman's voice on the other end explains that her company suspects an internal employee is stealing supplies and selling them online. She wonders if an investigation firm can do covert surveillance. Leon glances at me, and I nod. A silent exchange, we can handle it. A few minutes later, we have a plan. I'll do background checks on employees. Leon will set up discreet cameras, and will report any suspicious activity. It's not the biggest case, but it's legitimate work. For me, it's a chance to feel useful again, instead of wallowing in heartbreak and resentment. When the call ends, Leon claps me on the shoulder. "You're back in the saddle, partner." I manage a grin. The word partner rings with hope. Sure, it's just the beginning, but every step away from the wreckage of my marriage feels like progress. Feels good to be doing something productive, I admit. After wrapping up at Leon's office, I drive to the local diner, a small place with neon signage flickering in the window. I need coffee to fuel my new purpose. Sliding into a booth, I can't help but notice the last time I was here, my mind was consumed by suspicion over Sophia. Now, it's a different landscape. I'm free from illusions, forging a path forward. As I sip the coffee, I notice a familiar face behind the counter, Denise, the waitress who used to kid around with me about needing extra sugar for my bitter detective soul. She ambles over, not too busy at this hour. "Haven't seen you in a while, Greg. You okay?" Her tone is gentle, as if picking up on the invisible weight I still carry. I shrug, trying for nonchalance. "Life changes. Got divorced recently." Her eyes widen, then soften with sympathy. "I'm sorry to hear that. I know you and your wife were together a long time. You holding up?" I shift in the booth, fiddling with the coffee mug. Some days are better than others, but I'm moving forward, I guess. Denise offers a small, kind smile. "You know, I've been through a split myself. It's rough, but trust me, it gets easier once you find your footing. If you ever need an ear, I'm here slinging coffee most days." A flicker of gratitude passes through me. "Appreciate it," I say softly. She nods and heads to the next table, leaving me with my thoughts. I take another sip, letting the caffeine sharpen my senses. Driving back to my apartment afterward, I can't shake the notion that while heartbreak has torn me down, the people around me, Leon, Isabel, even casual acquaintances, are forming a net of support I didn't realize I needed. Allies aren't just old friends or family. They can be found in unexpected corners of life. That thought warms me, just a little, against the lingering chill of betrayal. Once I'm home, I sit at the kitchen table, rummaging through notes from Leon about the new client's case. A faint sense of excitement stirs in my gut. We might not be tackling high-profile crimes, but it's honest work, something that challenges me, keeps me focused on the future. The more I immerse myself in it, the less room heartbreak has to fester. I end the day by calling Isabel again. She picks up with a bright, "Hey, Dad!" I sense the tension in her voice. She's juggling a million tasks. "Busy?" I tease. "Always," she laughs. "But never too busy for you. How's everything?" I pause, letting a breath pass. "Better. Leon and I have a potential new gig. Keeps my mind busy." She smiles through the line. "I'm glad. You deserve something good, Dad." I end the call feeling a touch lighter. Maybe tomorrow I'll open more boxes, hang some pictures on the wall, make this apartment into an actual home. Small steps, but each one pulls me further from the pit of anger and sorrow. Leaning on allies might not erase my past pain, but it sure helps me face the future without crumbling. The following week brings a shift in my day-to-day existence. Sleep comes more easily, and I'm not jolting awake with thoughts of Sophia's betrayal swirling in my head. Instead, I'm up early to assist Leon with the new workplace theft case. We set up covert cameras late at night, disguised as smoke detectors. In the mornings, we sift through surveillance footage. It's like stepping back into the detective role, my role only now. I'm not wearing a police badge, and I'm not weighed down by departmental red tape. It's oddly invigorating. Even my leg, which twinges whenever I stand too long, doesn't bother me as much. I chalk that up to renewed purpose. There's something about having a mission, any mission that makes old wounds ache a little less. Late one afternoon, I'm at Leon's office with Maria, scanning hours of footage. In the grainy color feed, employees shuffle in and out of a storeroom carrying boxes. Finally, around the 5-hour mark, we spot a man slipping extra supplies into his backpack. Maria gasps, pointing at the screen. "That's him!" she exclaims. I slow the playback, capturing the man's face. A thrill pulses through me, case closed. We forward the footage to the client with a concise report. They're grateful, vow to handle disciplinary measures internally. Leon and I share a high five that feels both nostalgic and brand new. "We still got it," he jokes, flashing me a grin. Driving home that evening, I roll down the window, letting a cool breeze ruffle my hair. The sun sets over the horizon, painting the sky in oranges and pinks. I can't remember the last time I noticed a sunset without feeling a pit in my stomach. This time, I allow myself a fleeting smile. Maybe, just maybe, life can be good again. Another big moment arrives when Michael Coates calls with final confirmation that Langford Investments has approved the settlement. We schedule a small meeting at his office. The next morning I walk in, greeted by the faint smell of lemon polish. Michael beckons me into a conference room where a stack of official documents waits. "Sign here," he says, tapping a spot with his pen. "Langford will wire the funds to your account within the week, and you agree to the usual confidentiality clauses. Essentially, you can't publicly discuss the amount or details of the settlement." I read over the lines, a swirl of gratitude and sadness passing through me. The heartbreak with Sophia might never vanish, but at least this chapter of conflict closes with a measure of accountability for the company. I scribble my signature, feeling a subtle sense of finality. Afterward, Michael stands, extending his hand. "Congratulations, Greg. You turned a bad situation into something constructive. Not everyone manages that." I accept the handshake, voice tight. "Thanks. Couldn't have done it without your help." He nods, a flicker of understanding in his expression. "Good luck with your next steps." Leaving the office, I stare at the city street, sunlight reflecting off car windshields. My bank balance is about to receive a sizable boost money that might fund my new investigative venture with Leon. I realize how far I've come from the day I first discovered Sophia's affair. The betrayal still hurts, but I've channeled that pain into action. That afternoon, I head straight to Leon's office, but he's out on a field job. Only Maria is there, typing away at her desk. She looks up, curiosity in her eyes. "Leon said he'd be back soon. Want to wait?" I nod, settling into one of the lobby chairs. A quiet hum of an air conditioner envelops the room. My thoughts drift to the future, an official partnership, Aldridge and Carter investigations maybe, and a chance to build something truly my own. A second act, if you will. While I wait, I check my phone. A single text from Sophia stares back at me. "I understand the settlement is final. Congratulations, I guess. Please remember to take care of yourself." Bitterness flares momentarily. Congratulate me for your betrayal? But the bitterness fades into something less volatile, resignation, perhaps. I type a simple reply. "Yes, it's done. I'm moving on." I leave it at that, ignoring the pang in my chest. I remind myself that I'm building a new life, one that doesn't revolve around her. Leon eventually arrives, lugging a battered briefcase and a triumphant grin. "Greg, I have good news," he says, plopping the case on Maria's desk. "We got another corporate gig, bigger client, bigger budget." He glances at me, noticing my expression. "You okay? You look kind of far away." I shake off the mood. "I'm good. Actually, I just wrapped up the Langford settlement. I should have funds soon. Ready to talk about our official partnership?" Leon's eyes light up. "Absolutely. We can sign a partnership agreement, rename the firm. Start small, maybe rent a bigger office if business picks up." We retreat to the conference room, bouncing ideas around. How to market ourselves. What kind of cases we want to prioritize. Leon suggests we stick to corporate theft and domestic investigations at first bread-and-butter gigs. I mention the possibility of expanding into missing persons work, though that might require more resources. There's excitement in the air, a shared sense of possibility. By the time we're done, dusk has fallen outside the narrow windows. Maria ducks in to say goodnight, leaving us finalizing a rough schedule for the coming month. I'm mentally exhausted, but it's a satisfying kind of fatigue, like I'm building a new identity brick by brick. Driving back to my apartment, I pass by the old neighborhood where Sophia and I once lived. The pang I feel is sharper than expected, but I deliberately keep driving, refusing to let nostalgia drag me down. As the evening sky deepens, I reflect on the last few weeks. I've left my old home, confronted a corrupt executive, won a settlement, and reconnected with a sense of purpose I thought was gone forever. At home, the apartment is dim. I flip on a lamp, noticing how the living room is marginally more lived in now, some pictures of Isabel on the shelf, a new rug I picked up, and a sturdy desk in the corner. No longer just a storage space, it's becoming a place I can breathe in. It strikes me that this transformation mirrors my own, from a man drowning in heartbreak to someone reclaiming control. I pop a ready-made meal into the microwave and sit at the kitchen table, letting the hum of the appliance fill the silence. When the timer dings, I eat quietly, not minding the simplicity of it all. For the first time in a while, I don't crave the presence of someone else. I'm okay with my own company. As I finish my meal, a gentle sense of renewal settles over me. I still have regrets plenty, in fact, but I'm discovering that heartbreak doesn't have to be the end of the story. It can be the beginning of something new, a personal renaissance. Maybe I lost my marriage, but I'm finding pieces of myself I'd forgotten. The detective in me, the man who can stand on his own feet, and the friend who can still share a laugh with Leon. I rinse my plate, head into the living room, and open a blank notepad. At the top, I write, goals. Beneath it, I jot a few lines. Solidify partnership with Leon, grow personal finances responsibly. Improve physical therapy for my leg. Rebuild trust with Isabel. A small step, but it feels concrete, a roadmap for the future. The possibility of healing and forward momentum glimmers at the edge of my grief. And in that moment, I almost smile. A warm Saturday morning finds me at a local farmer's market, a place I rarely visited during my married life. Sophia and I used to have grocery deliveries or quick grocery store runs. We never lingered among stalls of fresh produce and handmade crafts. Today, I'm here with no real plan, just curiosity and a desire to get out of the apartment. Vendors line the path, displaying vibrant fruits, vegetables, and baked goods. The air smells of ripe peaches and cinnamon rolls. Soft chatter floats around me as families, couples, and singles wander from booth to booth. I'm struck by the normalcy of it all, how life continues with or without your personal tragedies. As I pause by a stand selling homemade preserves, a voice behind me says, "Greg Aldridge, right?" Turning, I see a slender woman with auburn hair pulled into a loose ponytail. She's wearing a casual blouse and jeans, a woven basket looped over her arm. Her eyes flick with mild recognition. Yes," I say, brow furrowed. I can't place her. She notices my confusion and offers a faint grin. "I'm Sandra Martin. We crossed paths at the police station years ago. My sister had a break-in. You did some preliminary investigation. You might not remember." A memory clicks. A distraught woman whose sister's house was vandalized. I vaguely recall offering advice. "Right. I do remember something like that," I say, giving a polite nod. "Small world," Sandra says, a friendly lilt in her voice. "You helped my sister feel safe again." She gestures at the display of jam jars. "Shopping for preserves or just browsing?" I glance at the jars, shrugging. "Honestly, just browsing. Trying out new routines." She smiles, something empathetic in her eyes. "Same here. My husband passed a couple of years ago, and I found exploring local markets helped me well. It gave me something to do." Her expression carries a hint of shared pain, as if she knows heartbreak on a personal level. I hesitate, not sure whether to mention my own loss. "I, recently got divorced," I admit finally, managing a half-smile. "Figured I should try new things, too. Life's too short." Her gaze softens with understanding. "I'm sorry, that can't be easy." Then she changes the subject gracefully. "How about we walk around a bit? There's a great stall selling fresh lemonade." Surprised by the warmth in her tone, I nod. We wander the market together, exchanging small talk about the local produce, the best stands. She recommends a bakery stall near the end of the row for homemade bread. I mention my new beginnings, lightly referencing an upcoming business venture with Leon, but steering clear of the messy details. It feels nice, talking to someone who doesn't see me as just the betrayed husband. After 20 minutes of strolling, we pause near the lemonade stall. I buy us each a cup. The tangy sweetness refreshes me in the rising heat. Sandra leans on a nearby railing. "You know, it's a relief to meet someone in a similar boat starting over." Hard, though, isn't it? I sip my lemonade, nodding. Yeah, it's an adjustment, but I guess I'm learning to let go of bitterness. Doesn't mean it's gone, just manageable. Her eyes hold a gentle sympathy. Well, if you ever want a walking buddy for these markets, I'm around most weekends. We can share heartbreak survival tips, she adds with a wry smile. I let out a quiet chuckle. Sounds like a plan, Sandra. A tentative sense of companionship sparks in me, not romance exactly, just a friendly rapport with someone who understands life's curveballs. We trade numbers before parting ways, a spontaneous connection I never saw coming this morning. Back at my apartment, I set down the groceries I ended up buying: fresh strawberries, a loaf of crusty bread. My phone vibrates with a text. Thank you for the lemonade conversation. Let's do it again sometime. Sandra. I read it twice, a small smile forming. Unforeseen opportunities, indeed. Maybe forging new connections is part of this second act in my life. Later in the day, Leon calls, excited to share details about the new office space we're considering. It's a bit bigger than my current setup, on the second floor of a commercial building. Clean, modern, good location. The rent's higher, but with your settlement funds, we can make it work. I glance at the clock, nearly 5 p.m. Let's check it out tomorrow, I suggest. We'll see if it feels right. The next morning, we meet at the address. A short, 2-story complex with a handful of businesses. The available office suite is modest, but has 2 separate rooms and a small lobby area. I notice large windows letting in natural light. Sure, it's not fancy, but it's a step up from the cramped single-room scenario Leon currently rents. As we walk through, I can practically envision clients coming in, explaining their suspicions or security issues. Leon outlines how we could set up separate desks, one for me, one for him. Maybe a partition for a future hire. My heart beats with cautious optimism. This place could become Aldridge and Carter Investigations if we finalize everything. We talk finances. Leon has some savings, but the bigger chunk might come from my settlement. I nod, feeling oddly proud to invest in something beyond heartbreak. I think we can swing it, I say, tapping the wall thoughtfully. It's about time we took a leap. We leave with the property manager's lease paperwork in hand, both of us buzzing with possibility. Outside, Leon gives me a sideways grin. You sure about this, partner? No regrets about going from sworn officer to business owner? I let out a breath, scanning the nearby parking lot. No regrets. I'm ready for a new challenge. And I am. For the first time in months, I feel a deep sense of direction. The day ends with me back in my apartment, sipping tea instead of coffee, relaxing on the sofa. I pull out my notepad of goals. Next to grow personal finances responsibly, I jot, new office space with Leon. Start next month? Then I add a small note about Sandra, nothing elaborate, just a reminder to keep the door open to genuine conversation. Even if it goes nowhere romantic, friendship and connection matter. As dusk settles, I catch myself reflecting on how different life is compared to a month ago. I used to be consumed by suspicion and heartbreak. Now I'm building a new routine, forging new connections, and forging a new professional path. The regret and pain don't vanish overnight, but they're no longer the whole story. A text chimes. Dad, we need to catch up soon. Miss you, Izzy. Smiling, I respond that I'd love to see her for lunch. The heartbreak never entirely disappears, but each day, I'm shaping a future that's mine to define. It's not the life I planned, but it might be the one I need. Morning light beams through the broad windows of our new office suite, illuminating the freshly painted walls. I pause in the lobby, inhaling the subtle scent of new carpet and coffee that Leon just brewed. A small bronze plaque near the front door reads, Aldridge and Carter Investigations. Seeing my name etched there sparks a ripple of pride. I never imagined that in my 50s post-divorce I'd be launching a renewed career path. Leon hustles past me with a stack of folders tucked under his arm, wearing that broad grin he's been sporting ever since we moved in. Greg, he calls. Got a message from a potential new client, a retail chain wanting undercover investigators to root out internal theft. This could be huge. I follow him into the main office area, where Maria, our administrative aide, is on the phone scheduling appointments. I sense the energy, a low hum of purpose that flows through the suite. We're not just dabbling in small cases anymore. We're establishing ourselves as a serious agency. Once I slip into my personal office, I boot up my computer. The desk is tidy, no clutter beyond a few case files and a framed photo of Isabel at her college event. I see echoes of my old life. Leftover detective instincts, the thirst for justice that used to guide me on the police force. Now it's funneling into this new chapter, ironically fueled by heartbreak turned into momentum. Midway through the morning, Leon taps on my door. Got a minute? Sure. I wave him in. He settles into the chair opposite my desk. We need to decide on the next hire. We're growing fast. I can't handle all the fieldwork alone, and you can't juggle everything in the office. I nod thoughtfully. Agreed. We'll need a second investigator or an intern with some legal background. Maybe someone part-time, at least to start. My mind flickers to how quickly we've gone from idle talk to genuine expansion. Let's do it. We can start interviewing next week. He smiles. This is the life, huh? A year ago, you were stuck in heartbreak. Now we're running a thriving agency. There's no denying the surge of satisfaction that courses through me. Yeah, I reply softly, acknowledging that despite the emotional scars, I've found a new sense of purpose. Shortly after Leon steps out, I receive an unexpected call from a prominent tech company that wants assistance with corporate espionage concerns. They claim someone on the inside might be leaking product prototypes, a big job with a big budget attached. I exchange glances with Maria through the glass wall, her eyes widen with excitement. If we land this, our firm's reputation will skyrocket. The call lasts nearly an hour, involving a thorough discussion of non-disclosure agreements and preliminary steps. My adrenaline spikes. I can practically see the firm's future expanding. By the time I hang up, my heart's pumping. I stand and stroll to the window, gazing out at the city below. Cars glide by, people hurrying along sidewalks, each living their own stories. I let out a measured breath, thinking of the day Sophia's affair first came to light. It seems a world away now. Later, during a quick lunch break, Leon and I reflect on how far we've come. People are recommending us by word of mouth, he says around a bite of his sandwich. They say we're thorough, discreet, and we don't sensationalize. That's our edge. I tap my water bottle, a mix of gratitude and pride filling my chest. All those years in law enforcement shaped us, I guess. We know how to be meticulous without stirring chaos. My thoughts drift to the chaos I once faced in my personal life, chaos that pushed me here, ironically. As the afternoon unfolds, calls flood in for consultations and background checks. I handle some interviews, capturing details on potential employees. By the time 5 o'clock approaches, my leg aches from hours at a desk, but my spirit feels surprisingly light. This is what I wanted: career clarity, a sense of meaning that doesn't revolve around heartbreak. Before leaving for the evening, I pause by the hallway mirror, spotting flecks of gray in my hair, lines around my eyes. A reminder that heartbreak and time have aged me. Yet the reflection also shows a certain steadiness, my posture more upright than it used to be. I no longer carry that weary slump of betrayal everywhere. Outside, the dusk sky is tinged with pink and gold. I drive back to my apartment with the radio on low, letting the hum of traffic calm my thoughts. At a red light, my phone buzzes with a text from Isabel. Saw your new website. Looks amazing, Dad. Proud of you. I can't stop the grin tugging at my lips. She's been an anchor in her own quiet way, and her pride means the world to me. Once home, I drop my keys on the small kitchen counter and set about making a simple pasta dinner. The isolation of single life still echoes in these walls, but it feels less suffocating now. I open my laptop to review tomorrow's schedule: a meeting with the tech company, a background check for a local law firm, and a prospective interview for a field investigator. Busy day. In the background, a soft jazz playlist plays on a streaming service, adding warmth to the otherwise still evening. Halfway through dinner, a fleeting memory of my old house surfaces: Sophia stirring a pot of sauce while I uncorked a bottle of wine. The pang of nostalgia stings. I exhale, letting the wave roll over me. That past is gone, replaced by new opportunities. The quiet I once dreaded has become a canvas for building my future. Finishing my meal, I clean up and wander to my living room. Focusing on a push-up routine, I started to maintain strength in my arms. The physical therapy for my leg continues with daily stretches, and though it aches, the progress is undeniable. With each rep, I'm reminded that healing both emotional and physical is possible if I remain disciplined. After a quick shower, I settle on the couch, scanning through a few case reports. My phone pings again, a client from earlier, confirming an appointment. The flurry of business is comforting. It's proof that my heartbreak didn't define me. Instead, it propelled me to grow, to rediscover the passion for investigation. Before bed, I stand on my small balcony, gazing at the city lights twinkling across the horizon. A breeze ruffles my hair, carrying the faint scent of night-blooming flowers. In that still moment, I let myself appreciate how far I've come from betrayal to a new career thriving under my own name. The future remains uncertain, but for now, I'm content to savor the progress I've made. Life has settled into a productive rhythm. Mornings find me up early, preparing for client meetings or field investigations, while evenings often involve a quiet dinner and a check-in call with Isabel. But no matter how well things go at Aldridge and Carter investigations, I can't fully silence the echo of my past. Memories of Sophia surface in unguarded moments grocery shopping, hearing a certain song, passing by old landmarks that once belonged to us. One evening, as I'm finalizing paperwork in my office, an alert flashes on my phone, a message from an unknown number. "Greg, it's Sophia. I know you might not want to talk, but can we meet?" My heart clenches, a pang of old wounds flaring. I stare at the screen, torn between ignoring her and granting her request. Curiosity edges out caution. What does she want now? We haven't spoken face-to-face since the night I moved out, months ago. A swirl of emotions churn within me: anger, pity, faint nostalgia. Ultimately, I type back a measured response. "I'll consider it." A few days pass. Sophia doesn't pester me with follow-ups, which I find oddly respectful. Meanwhile, I gather from rumors that she's living in the same house alone, the one we once shared. I also hear sporadic comments from people at Langford Investments about her executive role. They say she's efficient, but she seems withdrawn, carrying a quiet sadness. Part of me almost feels sorry for her. She got what she claimed to want: a promotion, more money, a taste of independence. Yet she looks haunted from the edges of my knowledge. I remind myself that we each bear the consequences of the path we chose. That weekend, I dropped by the local cafe where I first met Sandra Martin by chance at the farmer's market. We've developed a friendly rapport. Sometimes we meet for coffee or stroll around town, sharing stories of heartbreak and resilience. Nothing overly intimate, just a supportive companionship. She's a widow who understands loss, albeit in a different context. At a corner table, Sandra sips a latte, watching me with gentle curiosity. "You look preoccupied, Greg. Something on your mind?" I exhale, swirling my own coffee. "Sophia reached out," I admit. "Wants to talk, not sure if I should." Sandra nods, empathy in her warm gaze. Sometimes closure requires facing the hurt again, or maybe she has regrets, but it's up to you whether hearing them helps or harms you. Her calm insight settles in my chest like a soothing balm. "I appreciate your perspective," I say, managing a small smile. "I just don't want to risk opening old wounds, yet ignoring her feels incomplete." We continue chatting about the complexities of grief, how it lingers even when life moves on. Sandra confesses she still visits her late husband's grave sometimes, leaving him letters about her day. "It's a way to let go but still honor the memory," she explains. That night in my apartment, I weigh the idea of meeting Sophia. Ultimately, I decide hearing her out might help me lay certain ghosts to rest. So I text her a neutral invite to a public place, Marlow Park, a quiet spot near a lake. The next afternoon, she agrees. When the day arrives, I drive to the park with a knot in my stomach. My breath stutters as I pull into a parking spot, scanning the expanse of grass and trees. Dusk approaches, bathing the scene in golden light. I spot her by a bench near the water, hands folded, shoulders tense. I walk over slowly, my heart pounding. She glances up, and for the first time in months I see her face to face. Eyes rimmed with fatigue, hair pulled back, wearing a conservative blouse and slacks. She stands, fumbling with her purse before extending a timid smile. "Greg," she says quietly. I force a calm expression. "Sophia." For a moment, we just regard each other. The silence is deafening, a swirl of memories crashing between us. Finally, she motions to the bench. We sit, a careful distance apart. She exhales shakily. Thank you for meeting me. I don't know where to begin. I clench my hands, noticing how my leg tenses. Just say what you need to say. Her gaze flickers to the lake's surface, reflecting the pinkish sky. I'm sorry for everything, she begins. The affair with Russell, the deceit it was never a plan. I got swept up in the corporate chaos, the money, his manipulations. But I know I'm responsible for my choices. I live with that regret every day. A lump forms in my throat. Hearing her voice it out loud is raw, painful. I appreciate the apology, I say stiffly, not sure how else to respond. She wrings her hands. Greg, I lost the best thing that ever happened to me. I lost you. Her voice cracks and tears well in her eyes. I keep thinking if I had been stronger or more honest, maybe we could have fixed it. I feel my heart twist, a mixture of anger and sorrow. There was a time I wanted that too, I admit. But after seeing how far it went, how long it lasted, the trust died. You know that. She nods, tears slipping down her cheeks. I do. And I don't expect you to forgive me or take me back. But I had to tell you I'm sorry. And she looks down at her trembling hands. I'm proud of what you've done with your agency. I hear people talk about Aldridge and Carter all the time. You deserve it. A flicker of surprise courses through me. Thank you, I say quietly. It's been a lot of work. Silence falls again, thick with unspoken regrets. I watch the lake's surface ripple under a gentle breeze. It strikes me that once upon a time we might have sat here holding hands. Now there's a chasm between us. Yet ironically, I feel calmer than I expected. Her guilt is hers to bear. My heartbreak is mine to heal. She sniffs, wiping her face. I just wanted you to know if you ever need anything, I'm here. I still care about you, even if I lost the right to show it. My chest tightens. I appreciate that, but I'm in a different place now, trying to move forward. A sad, understanding nod from her. I see that, and I'm glad. We remain side by side for a minute longer, neither of us moving. Finally, I stand, feeling the ache in my leg. I should go, I say. Got an early meeting tomorrow. She rises, too, her voice soft. Take care, Greg. A breeze rustles the leaves overhead as I walk away, not looking back. The echo of her sorrow lingers in my mind, lingering echoes of what we once shared and what we lost. Strangely, though, I feel a tiny spark of closure. She admitted her regrets, and I listened. No fireworks, no miracle reconciliation. Just two people acknowledging their broken bond. In my truck, I rest my head against the seat, letting out a shaky breath. Yes, it hurts, but it's less like a fresh wound now, more like an old scar that twinges in bad weather. I drive home under the twilight sky, aware that even though the echoes remain, they no longer define my every waking thought. Weeks turn into months. The investigation firm continues to flourish, and I dive into the work with every ounce of skill I possess. Each case, whether a missing person inquiry or a corporate espionage tip, challenges me in ways that remind me I'm still alive, still valuable. Yet outside of work, life slides into a steady routine. Calls with Isabel, an occasional coffee with Sandra, and an abiding sense of self-reliance I never had while married. One day, Isabel invites me to her campus for a celebratory event. She's completing a major milestone in her graduate program and wants both me and Sophia present for the ceremony. My gut clenches at the thought of standing in the same space as Sophia, but I can't deny Isabel this moment. She's our daughter, and she deserves both parents to celebrate her success. The ceremony takes place on a crisp Saturday morning at an outdoor amphitheater near the university. Families and friends cluster around the rows of chairs, snapping photos, chatting excitedly. I find a seat near the front, scanning the crowd for any sign of Sophia. A knot forms in my stomach, though I try to mask it with a calm expression. Leon and Maria show up in support of Isabel. They've met her a few times and have become quasi-family. Leon pats my shoulder. You okay? I force a smile. Nervous, but I'll manage. Music swells, and soon the graduates process in wearing caps and gowns. Isabel stands out, a bright grin lighting her face. My heart swells with pride. I catch her eye, wave discreetly, and she waves back. But then, from the corner of my sight, I see Sophia slip into a seat on the opposite side of the aisle, searching for Isabel's gaze as well. The ceremony unfolds with the usual speeches and applause. My chest tightens each time I see Sophia crane her neck to watch Isabel cross the stage. When the final speaker dismisses them, cheers erupt, and families surge forward with cameras and hugs. Isabel rushes over, hugging me tightly. "Dad!" she exclaims, her voice trembling with excitement. "I can't believe I'm finally done." I hold her, warmth filling my chest. "I'm proud of you, honey. You worked so hard." Leon and Maria step up, offering congratulations, taking pictures. The excitement is palpable. Then, almost reluctantly, Isabel glances behind her, where Sophia stands at a slight distance, hands fidgeting. My daughter's gaze flicks between us. "Dad, could you both come over here for a minute? Just to get a photo, please?" A swirl of emotions rises in me: resentment, sorrow, the memory of that painful park conversation with Sophia. But I see the plea in Isabel's eyes, the longing for a moment of normalcy. I manage a nod. "Sure," I say, voice tight. We step aside from the crowd and the four of us gather. Me, Isabel, Sophia, and even Leon steps back to give us space. Sophia hesitates, then stands beside me, though not touching. Isabel slides between us, arms around our backs. A quick click of a phone camera captures the three of us, a family image with 1,000 unspoken words behind it. My heart twists. We used to be a real family before the betrayal. Now we're a trio held together by love for Isabel and an awkward acceptance of the past. Still, I manage to keep my composure. After the photo, Isabel thanks us, tears glistening in her eyes. I just needed that. Sophia offers a wobbly smile. "You deserve it, sweetheart." An emotional confrontation bubbles in my chest. Part of me wants to storm off, to avoid sharing this day with the woman who broke my heart. But another part recalls the vow I made to always be there for my daughter. So I linger, letting Isabel soak up the presence of both parents in the same place. We speak in polite, careful tones, each sentence weighed to avoid tension. After a few minutes, Isabel's friends call her away for more pictures. She excuses herself, leaving Sophia and me awkwardly side by side. The crowd's hum enfolds us. I clear my throat, stuffing my hands into my jacket pockets. "She looks happy," I say, simply for something to say. Sophia nods, blinking rapidly. "She does. We did something right, at least. Raising her." A tug of bittersweet nostalgia hits me. Yeah, she's the best part of us, I guess. Sophia looks away, tears threatening to spill. "Greg, I'm so grateful you came. She was worried you might not want to see me." "I wouldn't miss Isabel's big day," I reply quietly, "no matter what's happened between us." An ache pulses in my chest. This moment is raw, reminding me of the life we shared. But the ceremony's setting, the swirl of joyous families, it all underscores what we lost. As applause breaks out somewhere behind us, I meet Sophia's gaze and realize she's studying me with regret etched in every line. Eventually, I step back, fidgeting with my watch. "I should find Leon. We're taking Isabel to lunch." Sophia attempts a smile, voice hushed. "Yes, I'm meeting her for dinner. She wanted me to join her friends." I nod. Silence sizzles between us, full of unspoken pain. Then, almost impulsively, I reach out and lightly squeeze her arm. "You did a good job helping raise our daughter," I say, surprising myself with the admission. "Despite everything." Her eyes well with tears. "Thank you," she whispers. "That means more than you know." I pivot and walk away, rejoining Leon's side. We head off to gather Isabel for the lunch celebration, leaving Sophia behind. My heart feels heavy, but also oddly lighter. In that fleeting confrontation, we didn't rehash blame or heartbreak. We simply existed for Isabel's sake. It's not redemption, too much damage was done, but it's a sliver of civility, an acknowledgement that we're bound by a shared love for our daughter, if nothing else. The rest of the day flows by in snapshots of laughter with Isabel's friends, warm hugs, and celebratory clinks of water glasses at lunch. Each minute spent celebrating my daughter's accomplishment stands as proof that life can be messy, but still hold moments of pure joy. That night, I return home, exhausted yet quietly fulfilled. The emotional confrontation with Sophia leaves me drained, but not devastated. Perhaps it's a sign that I'm healing, that the heartbreak doesn't have the same power it once did. Time softens the jagged edges of betrayal, though it never truly erases them. Over the next several months, Aldridge and Carter Investigations matures into a reputable firm. Leon and I hire 2 additional investigators, carving out a steady flow of corporate and domestic cases. Maria thrives as our office manager, greeting clients with warmth and efficiency. We're no mega agency, but we don't need to be. Our niche is thorough, discreet service, and it keeps us busy. On a personal level, I continue physical therapy for my leg, determined to regain more mobility. Early morning walks become part of my routine, sometimes with Sandra if she's free, sometimes solo. The city's hush at dawn, the swirl of pink-tinted clouds, it all reminds me how each day offers a fresh start. I've begun to cherish these simple, reflective moments. Isabel visits often, radiant with the energy of someone forging her own path in life. She's landed a role at a nonprofit and is blossoming into a confident leader. Each time we meet, she fills me in on her projects and personal goals. We share easy laughter, something that once felt impossible amid the tension of betrayal. She occasionally mentions Sophia in passing, how her mother remains devoted to her new position at Langford, how she's living quietly, apparently weighed down by remorse. I usually listen in silence, letting Isabel talk. One crisp autumn morning, I receive a surprising call from Sophia's father, a man I once got along with well. He invites me to a small memorial gathering for Sophia's mother, who passed away years ago. They're erecting a bench in her name at a local garden. "I know you and Sophia aren't together anymore," he says gently, "but you were family for so long. We'd like you to come if you can." I hesitate, old memories swirling, but I decide to attend. It feels like a final step, an overdue acknowledgement of the bonds that existed before everything fell apart. On the day of the dedication, the garden is serene, stone pathways winding through blooming flowers, a gentle fountain trickling in the distance. Sophia's father greets me with a warm handshake, eyes crinkling. Several relatives gather around, some shooting me curious or sympathetic looks. Then Sophia appears quietly, an arrangement of flowers in her hand. She catches sight of me, offers a small nod. I nod back, heart pinching. We stand in a circle while her father speaks about his late wife's generosity and devotion to her children. Sophia's eyes glisten. I recall how close she was to her mother. Despite the lingering resentments, my heart aches with empathy. Funerals, memorials, gatherings for the departed, they remind us that life is too fleeting for endless bitterness. Afterward, we wander the garden. Sophia drifts over to where I'm seated on a bench near some lavender bushes. She's hesitant, as though unsure if I'll shun her. But I force a polite half-smile, gesturing for her to join me. She sets the flowers down, inhaling the lavender's calming scent. "Thank you for coming, Greg. My dad really appreciates it. Mom would have wanted you here, too." I rest my arms on my knees, observing the breeze ripple through the foliage. "She was a good woman," I reply, recalling how her mother always welcomed me like a son. "I'm sorry for your loss." Sophia's gaze lowers. "Time slips by so quickly. I can't believe she's gone all these years, and now we're here, with everything changed." A bitter irony tugs at me. Change is the only constant, I guess. She exhales softly. For a fleeting moment, we slip into an easy silence, like we once did at the start of our marriage, no words needed, just the comfort of presence. But the hush is tinged with the awareness that we're no longer partners in life. Clearing my throat, I straighten. "I've been meaning to tell you I'm proud of how Isabel turned out. Despite everything, we did something right, raising her." Sophia offers a shaky smile. "Yeah, she's amazing." Her voice trembles. "And you've built a remarkable new life, Greg. I hear about your success from people at Langford. Everyone respects you." A faint warmth courses through me, though I remain guarded. "Thanks, I'm doing okay." She nods, then slowly stands, trailing a hand over the bench's wooden slat. "I know it doesn't change the past, but seeing you move on, do well, it means a lot. I won't keep you." She steps away, turning back once more. "Take care of yourself, Greg." As she departs, I feel a sense of finality settling in my chest, like closing the circle on a chapter riddled with heartbreak. We remain ex-spouses, tethered by memories and regret, but neither of us harbors illusions about undoing the past. The bench dedication ends soon after, leaving me with an odd sense of peace. In the days that follow, something shifts inside me. The bitterness that flared when I thought of Sophia feels less potent, the old memories less raw. I realize I've come to a place of acceptance. The betrayal happened, I responded, and we each carried our consequences. Now I have a life, a career, a daughter, even a budding friendship with Sandra that transcends old wounds. Months slip by. The chill of winter yields to the warmth of spring. Aldridge and Carter investigations expands further. We move into an even larger suite, hire a small staff. We become known for delivering justice without destroying people, as one local news article puts it. Leon jokes that the line is our new motto. Clients keep flooding in, trusting our calm, strategic approach. One quiet morning, I find myself on a hill overlooking the city, dawn light painting the sky in gold and rose. I've come here to reflect before the day's busy schedule. As I watch the sun break over the horizon, I recall the man I was when I first discovered Sophia's affair, angry, broken, vengeful. That anger fueled my investigation, shaped my revenge. But over time, it became something else, a path to self-reinvention. Yes, heartbreak nearly destroyed me, but I refused to let it. I stand, leaning on a small walking stick for my leg, and watch the city stir below. Car headlights blink on roads, people begin their routines, and I'm reminded that life continues no matter how harsh the betrayal or how deep the wound. A gentle breeze stirs the grass around me, whispering of possibilities. In this moment, I feel the final edges of sorrow slip away, replaced by resilience. My life, battered though it was, has found a new shape. Betrayal made me reevaluate everything, and in rebuilding, I found a purpose I might never have pursued otherwise. I think of Isabel, grown and thriving, of Leon, forging an investigative empire with me, and even of Sophia, forging her own version of redemption. The circle closes around the lessons learned, the heartbreak endured, and the peace earned. Turning from the sunrise, I head down the slope, prepared to tackle whatever the day brings. My phone buzzes with a new case alert, but I pocket it for now, unwilling to break the silence of dawn. I walk with measured steps, each one a testament to how far I've come from a betrayed husband to a man standing strong, propelled by heartbreak